Why don't we go ahead and get started? I'll begin by reading the agenda, then I expect David will arrive in a few minutes, and hopefully by the time I'm done reading through the agenda, we can get underway with a full panel. So, excuse me. Thank you. So tonight, welcome to the Select Board meeting of Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. On tonight's agenda, we begin as always with community input, followed by appointments and resignations. We're going to have the Transfer Station Action Committee here tonight to revisit us and talk about food waste mandate and some proposed options for wording that the Select Board is going to consider. We're going to finalize and sign the annual town meeting warrant, which has a number of discussion items below it, including a discussion with the moderator about the town meeting logistics, and ultimately we're going to review the annual town meeting warrant and final approval and signature vote. Item 5 at 8:45 is discuss, revise, and finalize charters. That will include a discussion of the Land Stewart Committee revised charter. Also considering a simple name change for the DPW Building Committee. At 9:15, item 6, we're going to discuss amending a financial policy regarding town credit cards. 9:30, item 7, the TA report, followed by the review of warrants and minutes and cemetery deeds, a number of those tonight. Closing with liaison reports, community input, and finally adjournment. So with that, we don't need to do a roll call unless David's not remote, correct?
He's not.
So we have 4 members present. Currently, Dave Modell is absent, but we expect him shortly. But we will open it up to community input. So we'll start with the room. Does anyone in the room have community input to provide? Seeing none, I'll open it up to online. Does anyone online have community input? And is that are we seeing the full list of participants?
I can.
Okay, no, okay, so nobody's raising their hand. Okay, seeing no community input online, let's move forward to item 2 of appointments and resignations. So in the packet, I know, Ryan, you wanted to discuss the intermunicipal agreement with Acton for plumbing and gas inspectional services.
Yes, please.
It's a mouthful.
Not looking for your approval tonight, but looking to see what questions you have about a potential arrangement or a shared services arrangement with Acton. And to give a little context, Jim Powderly, our longtime plumbing and gas inspector, retired, although he has agreed to help us out until May 1st. So like usual, our very talented people retire, and then they do help us out as we transition, which we do appreciate. He was working a 9-hour schedule, something that John Mativier set up, 3 hours, 3 days a week. This is probably a little bit more than was necessary. We anticipate needing 6 to 9 hours of weekly service. We looked at the market, we did referrals, we asked if anybody was looking for work in this small field, a small but tight field, and what we are finding is that the market doesn't really have any part-time inspectors. So as we look for long-term sustainable services, we thought sharing someone with another town and maybe finding someone who was looking for more hours or benefits would be helpful, and we did find a partner in Acton. So Acton would serve as a host community. As you remember from the dispatch discussion, shared services means that one town employs the employee, and through an intermunicipal agreement, you share the employee. So here, Acton would serve as the host community. The majority of the work would be in Acton. There would be 7 hours of dedicated Carlisle service, which we would communicate to any people who are looking for permits. And this would include backup inspection if the main inspector wasn't included. So it's a whole package. And what we would have to do is pay for that 7 hours and then a benefits stipend. So this would become a full-time position. It would be a benefit stipend. So the way the math works, it's about a $3,000 to $4,000 difference from what we pay now. And we think this would lock up for, pending the first year's review, a 3-year employment agreement. The current employee says this is what he's looking to do for quite a while, so we have some confidence that there would be some sustainability. But even if there wasn't, it being a benefited position makes it a much more attractive position to attract the few people that do this. So I wanted to get any questions on this from you tonight in open session. If you were agreeable to this, we would move on to finalizing a deal, completing an IMA, and presenting that to you at your next meeting. But before we surprise you with that, we wanted to hear any questions you might have about it or any additional information you'd like us to gather.
Just to clarify, because I had asked this question, he's currently part-time in Acton, and so with the additional hours, he becomes full-time and healthcare eligible in Acton, and so that's where the stipend
Yes.
part of it would come. We would pay the prorated share if the person elects benefits, correct?
So what I've tentatively agreed to is a fixed stipend.
Okay.
That is somewhere between a single healthcare package and a family healthcare package that we would just agree to pay, whether they took one or the other, and I think that helps mitigate our risk. So we don't know that this employee is gonna stay or go, so I think agreeing to some percentage is a better way to mitigate our risk. Because the difference between a family plan and a single plan is significant, $15,000 or so.
And if it's not working out, what's the term of the agreement, and is there an exit strategy if for whatever reason we're not able to secure those hours, or is it another issue?
It's a good question. The IMA indicates that the arrangement can end at any time, and Mass General Law also agrees that any town can get out of their agreement. But best practices is a six-month review usually.
Chairs?
So on January 1st, if we said we no longer wanted to do this arrangement, then we would work over 6 months to find a new solution. Very rare to have a same day, like I'm not doing this anymore between towns, because both have to provide a service.
And the person being considered is currently employed, I think you said that, part-time in Acton,
Yes.
and wants to do this full-time.
Well vetted, well considered, and
Yeah.
said he could start tomorrow. We said we gotta talk with some people.
Yeah. And how do the 7 hours per week get determined or allocated to Carlisle? Is that based on requests or needs of people needing inspections, or?
It was negotiated as to our need versus what Acton needed to make it work. As I show here, we need 6 to 9 hours. So 7 was, I think 6 would have been my ideal. 7 was a negotiated number.
But that's,
No, but I meant more-
Is it a fixed set of hours in the?
Yeah, that's what I meant, more, if we were to go ahead with this, is it, they're available certain days of the week here for certain hours, or how does that work, the scheduling?
That's what we're going to do. So either two or 3 short windows, which is plenty.
Okay,
You just have to communicate it, and when people apply for their permits, they have to understand the arrangement.
yeah,
Now, the employee who exists now said, I'll make it work, I'll figure it out, and that's what usually happens, but
Mhm.
contractually, we're committed to a certain window.
okay.
I mean, this is, go ahead, sorry, Chris.
How does coordination work with Acton? Do you reach out to your counterpart in Acton to schedule this person's time, or do you reach out to him directly? And who has visibility over his whole schedule for the week? Like, if we need him at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, can we say, can you be at this address on 2 o'clock on Tuesday? Or is it, we have them one day a week and they have them the rest of the days a week?
In its simplest form, someone applies for a permit. We say the inspector's available during these windows, and then the admin schedules the inspector for that inspection. The inspector just goes there. They don't come here, they just go right there.
Right there, yeah.
And
Okay.
that's how it works right now. We have 3 3-hour windows, so this would be 2 3-hour windows and a 1-hour window.
Okay.
I mean, we're looking to do more shared services, so I certainly encourage this approach. And it's good to know that if it's not working for whatever reason, it seems relatively easy to unwind.
Yeah,
But we're gonna need to be doing more of this, so.
There's 2 reasons to share service. One is to shore up the service, and the other is to save money. This is
Yeah.
the first type. So we want to make sure we have to provide the service. We want to be able to do it well for a long time.
Okay. So what do you need from us tonight? It says potential vote, but you just need a general indication.
This is what I needed, is any questions? If, I will send the IMA as part of your packet for the next meeting. It'll be the same thing you saw here with some legal stuff that IMAs have. If there's any information that you want in the interim or to discuss it more, I'd be happy to do it. I just wanted to get a sense of the board that this is a direction to look at.
So this is for our 4/28 meeting, or April 28th meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
We think 7 hours a week will cover it. Okay. Yeah, sounds fine.
Okay. And there's no
Sounds
other
good.
appointments or resignations, although Gretchen did send out a note, a widely distributed note that, am I getting this right? The volunteer window is open,
Yeah.
and there's a listing of all the available seats on the various committees in town, which there are numerous. I think the initial feedback is there weren't too many applicants yet to consider, so for all of you out there listening, you're probably already involved in the committee, but if you're not, or you want to take on more, please check out the website, look at the openings, because we're going to be doing appointments after town meeting for the next year. And we certainly need volunteers.
And presumably, that's the point at which if someone is, once the charter for the LSC is finalized, that's the point at which somebody can put their name in to serve on the LSC?
That one is actually,
Or
that's a separate process, I believe, because the LSC wasn't included on that list.
okay.
And I think there were already,
Well, there are 3 people, I think, that probably want to continue, but
Yeah.
can they be, so
Well,
it
I'm
wasn't
not
actually disbanded, so I suppose those people can still submit their application to renew their
Yeah.
term, yeah.
yeah, we'll get more info on that later
Okay.
on tonight. I'm not quite clear on how that one's working. But I think they might want to, assuming the revised charter is passed, they might want to ramp that up again before,
Wait,
Well,
not wait
'cause-
that long?
wait for terms to end, because they had the resignations that we need to fill.
Uh-huh.
Okay, nothing else under appointments and resignations? And David Modell has joined. Hello, David.
Hi.
So let's move on to item 3, which is the Transfer Station Action Committee. You guys want to come up to the table, grab some chairs, and this is a joint meeting, so you're going to open your meeting. Welcome back.
Thank you.
We don't have a quorum, so we don't have to call a meeting. We just,
You do not.
Okay,
yeah,
I mean,
we're
Dan
four,
might.
four is a quorum, so the 3 of us, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so can you just then state your names and your
Sure.
addresses?
Laura's the head.
Laura Snowden, Chair.
Yep.
Tom Bellata, 77 Lincoln Lane.
John Petrie,
31 Bellows.
39 Baldwin Road.
31 Bellows Hill Road, sorry.
Great, thank you and welcome. So last we left off, you had met with us in March and presented a request for select board support of a organic waste or food waste ban. And I think at that point, we had requested that you go off and think about some of the feedback and alternate wording. You've provided that in the packet, and I saw in today's packet there was also a brief presentation.
Right,
Do you want to briefly go through the presentation?
yes.
Okay, and we have 30 minutes, and we have I know Wayne's coming in at 7:45, so I'm
Okay.
going to try to keep this contained
Okay,
to the 30
I'm
minutes.
hoping this is perfect. So Ryan, are you advancing slides? I'll say
Okay. Tell me what to do.
next or slide or something. Okay, so let's see. All right, here we are. There's our committee members. So the purpose of this meeting really for us is to obtain a select board vote to put in place the recommended policy using one of the 3 wordings that we have provided. And, you know, we really urge the select board to make a decision tonight. TSAC spent the last 2.5 years spending most of our time promoting, educating, and helping people with composting. And
Can I
we have other.
interrupt? Are you a standing member or just a liaison?
We have a metal vote.
Oh, there is truly no board.
So, you know, we have other critical projects in the wings and grants to write, and should a vote not happen, we'll continue to offer support, education, and subsidize compost bins, but we'll redirect our attention a bit. We just don't feel like all the time we've spent has really paid off, has not been sufficient in terms of the reduction of solid waste. So also, a new development since I think the material went out to you is that Black Earth has agreed to open up curbside composting to all of Carlisle if a mandate is voted on. So that was a really big thing, because we've been, you in particular, have been negotiating and trying all kinds of different options for them, because we're such a,
What does that actually mean? They come by and they'll pick up the bin?
Right now, they only offer curbside in the eastern side of Carlisle, Lowell Street and to the left, and they've agreed that they will allow it to cost for the entire town as soon as they.
So if you have a bin, they'll pick it up on the
Correct.
schedule?
yeah.
And the other aspect they agreed to is, it is a fee for that. The other aspect, they agreed to provide us as many bins as we want at the transfer station to be ready. So if we want to get 10 more bins and have them available in case we get a better response than expected, they'll put them there, we won't get charged unless we use them. So they really are in support of this.
And when you say if we pass a mandate, one of the wordings is it tied to one of the wordings?
No, any of
Okay.
those wordings.
Any of
It's a
them,
policy,
including,
yeah, any of those
including just the
policies.
recommended
Even the weaker-
one?
Even the weaker wording, yeah,
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. They
Okay.
really are trying to make this.
Yeah, they want to
Yeah,
know
I mean,
that,
even they've offered to Carlisle for 7 customers. It used to be a 50 customer minimum, and
Yeah.
all the other surrounding towns have 50 people or more.
yeah,
So they really want to make this happen.
okay.
okay.
And just so I'm clear, they're the ones who also pick up the bins at the transfer
Correct.
station?
Right.
Correct.
Because those are often overflowing, I've noticed.
Say again?
They are often overflowing.
They haven't been, that's a recent development. Now,
Oh.
we added 2 bins, but we can add as many as we want. And,
Right,
you know,
okay.
and only pay for them if we use them. So, and they've agreed, we just have to say, and they can do that tomorrow. I mean, if we come up and say, we need an 11th bin, they'll bring it tomorrow. But if we institute the ban, we're actually gonna say, give us, 6, 10 bins to have them available day one, and we'll monitor very closely. We'll be there the first few weeks. And at that point, we may even ask for more often pickups. I mean, currently we have 2 pickups per week. If we're gonna get more bins, it makes
Yeah,
sense to do it daily,
actually,
3,
might make
every
more
day have a
sense.
pickup. So that, but they're poised to give us whatever we ask for at this stage.
Okay.
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 Side. Okay, so we sent something very similar out in your packet a while ago, and I will briefly go through the options, and then I'll provide some context as to why we worded them the way we did. So some of the language is the same for all of them. The first one, food waste mandate, which is TSAC's recommended option, in anticipation of the state's plan to ban residential food waste from the solid waste stream. The select board mandates, effective July 1st, that's different, that food waste should no longer be disposed of in the solid waste bin at the transfer station. Second one is food waste ban. So jumping down, the select board effective July 1st bans all food waste from being disposed of. Same. Option 3, responsible disposal of food waste is a supportive, positive statement. The select board effective July 1st encourages residents to responsibly dispose of all their food waste and stop disposing it in the solid waste stream. So, yes, at our last meeting with you, which actually was the end of February, we received feedback from you on developing different language, different options to enforce, to some degree or not, food waste ban. And you also had an interest in finding out what other communities were doing. We went back to the drawing board, and the document you received a while ago called, it's a very long title actually, Impact of Organic Waste Ban Studies, documented 3 different communities and case studies. And I'm going to focus mostly on Vermont right now because the state of Vermont was definitely an inspiration and influence. It's in that packet, but we also adopted its language and philosophy, which was not, it was supposedly a ban, but it was a mandate, not saying you all had to compost, but rather a mandating the diversion of organic materials away from landfills. And that's what we're doing here too. We're not saying we're banning it. Also, their composting law, which went into effect in 2020, relies on completely voluntary compliance and education outreach for municipalities and residents. And that's what we're doing too. So that's that. And a packed agendas pushed our meeting back a few months, and we understand the time we originally said, which was probably in your packet, April 22nd, Earth Day,
Yes.
was maybe a little too soon, too tight. So, we said, okay, July 1st was a better thing. It would give people who chose to time to get supplies. We'd have questions answered, and those who want to start right now, they could. And in the meantime, we are attending the Route to Sustainability Day, Christina, on May 3rd, along with our big backyard compost bins and our raffles. We'll be at the transfer station on May 9th all day, answering questions and helping people out. We'll have shifts on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the transfer station. And I'm saying this without checking with the Old Home Day Committee at all, but we could work with them to make this year's event, which is June 20th, a fully compostable or mostly compostable event. And I know they've been interested, but it's a lot of work. So we think that would also be a really positive initiative, but again, slide please.
Oh, before we move on, I do have a couple of questions. So, the first two read pretty similarly to me. What swayed the TSAC's opinion to recommend the first? Ban, mandate?
Mandate's a positive word, ban is a negative word.
It is, that's
And
true.
ban often implies that you're gonna get punished or fined or
Right,
something.
right.
Mandate,
Not-
we like
not
mandate
always.
because it's a stronger word and it's positive, ban is a negative word. You clearly
Right.
didn't like that last time.
Positive.
The third one is kind of, if we can't agree on a charged word, we don't have any word.
Yeah.
And nothing really
Responsible
changes,
disposal. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But,
And understand, there's absolutely zero impact on the transfer station. There is no inspection, there is no inspection on the state law. The state it's voluntary even though it's a state law. There's no inspection implied. Jim's not gonna change one iota of procedure at the transfer station.
Okay.
But one of the reasons that Massachusetts I was reading an article from last year about how of the states that ban food waste, only Massachusetts has seen a reduction in landfill waste, and because of enforcement. So
it's enforcing commercial
for
waste.
commercial, right?
Yeah, for commercial,
Right, and
it's-
they're lowering the threshold for commercial
Right.
food waste to be diverted. They're
Right.
also shipping most of their waste by train to other states.
That's the way to lower it.
What's that?
Somebody else's
You
problem.
you have to understand that 15% of Carlisle residents still do not recycle bottles and cans and
Right.
cardboard, 15%. And we observed that, and those folks are just, not going to do it. And the state doesn't want us to do anything about that, they really don't, they want it voluntary.
My point is, and we might be getting ahead of ourselves, and I want you to finish your presentation,
Sure.
but that, as far as everything I've seen, toothless bans in terms of non-enforceable or voluntary bans or even mandates haven't been employed in Massachusetts outside of, say, Hamilton. And even in states where it's a requirement, it's only been successful when it's enforced. And so,
But the
Answer
recycling
this
ban the recycling ban, which has been in effect for a couple of decades, took a long time to get folks, but we now have 85%, all
but
voluntary.
how many towns in Massachusetts have a residential ban or mandate in place?
For organics, none.
Yeah.
Well, Hamilton,
can I-
yeah, right,
well,
right, yeah.
Towns are very interested in doing it, like Cambridge and Brookline actually has done a lot of studies, but they're up against the complications from how to make it inclusive for people who live in apartment buildings or people who, because their options pretty much are paying for bins, curbside bins.
Right.
What Brookline has done is you can drop your compost off these central bins, you have a combination lock to get it open because they don't want trash to get in. So they're trying to do things so it's not going to cost people things, but very few towns have the infrastructure to do that without it penalizing people in some way or another. And that has really been a problem in Cambridge, I know, is really gung-ho on doing it, but they can't figure out how to
I
make it
didn't mean
happen.
to distract you from the presentation. Do you want to finish up any points
Yeah,
before
yeah.
we get into?
Okay, next slide.
Why don't we
please.
finish up the presentation, then we'll do the deliberation.
So as Tom said, there won't be any changes at the transfer station. Education, publicity, encouragement will be provided by TSAC in the form of articles in the Mosquito, reminder posters at the transfer station, community Q&A sessions at the transfer station where TSAC members can explain composting options and answer questions. So there'll be a lot of that. As Tom also said, at this point, people are pretty much on board across the Commonwealth with recycling. Not everyone, but it's taken a while. People are doing it. They're not being monitored. And then the last point is that how it would be implemented is that the alternatives here would be pretty much what we have now. Dispose of food waste in the large bins provided at the transfer station, no charge to residents. Contract with Black Earth to provide curbside collection, and then and use an outdoor home composting system, which is subsidized by the town. So it's kind of it's sort of the same thing, but we're asking to ratchet it up. Slide, please. So why now? Well, because Black Earth has agreed to do this, which is a whole new thing, and if I don't think they're willing to do it because it's definitely few and far between. They have to travel a lot in Carlisle if there isn't a mandate of some kind isn't approved. The again, mandate has no impact on transfer station operations. So Vermont has had a similar ban since 2020 without monitoring, and they've had actually a really good success rate. They're saying maybe 50% of their food waste is being redirected. State will be rolling out a municipality food ban in 2030, and it will be a positive thing for us. We'll be well positioned. And then
Has that been
also-
decided?
No, it's not. I mean, that's
'Cause
their
I-
goal.
That's
their goal.
Okay.
It's announced.
Yeah, it's gonna happen sometime, but it's
I
2030.
read that they were looking at feasibility by 2030, but I hadn't seen
There
any. I tried to find articles
Sure.
on it.
It could
and
easily
really,
slip, there's no question.
yeah,
I can send you a PowerPoint that DEP sent out
That's
about
their goal.
yeah.
what they're doing if you want it, but,
It's
you
just
know,
not I don't want to misrepresent it as a fait
Yeah.
accompli.
It
There's
is
a lot.
something they're really striving to do, and in 2028, they want to have all the schools, public schools, composting. You know, a lot of towns are already doing that, so they've got
Yeah.
these steps. So yeah, I'm bringing up the school because it currently uses Black Earth for its prep waste, but and a private hauler who does not bring their trash to Carlisle. So what they're doing has no impact on what we're doing, but you know, we would support composting there, but it's got to be driven by the school PTO and administration. They really have to buy into it. I've talked a lot with the people in Concord to understand and be able to help them understand how it happened, and the DEP has a lot more websites with posters and things for them. But passing a mandate in Carlisle would probably make it a little easier on PTO when recruiting volunteers, because it is parent volunteer driven in the beginning. They're there at lunch hour reminding students what they need to do. And also with time, students will then they'll get into it and they'll be doing it, which is, there was a brief time in Carlisle where that was happening. Slide, please. Final slide, I included this quote from the master plan, Carlisle Master Plan, Chapter 6, Environmental Stewardship. The impacts of these efforts at the smaller community level support larger scale environmental initiatives at the state, federal, and global level, all of which must occur if we are to be successful, not only in curbing energy use and carbon emissions to limit the impacts of global climate change, but also in protecting the natural environment. And, you know, finally, we feel this is not an imposition so much as a positive development and decision. We're proud that our town already makes it easy and cost-free for residents to compost, and that really is not the case in many cities across the Commonwealth. And they're struggling with the complexities of doing that. We know we're not shaming anyone who does not compost. We don't shame people who throw their plastic jugs in the trash. You know, it's the same kind of thing, but this really gives the residents of Carlisle a positive goal as a community, something to be proud of, and gives us a feeling like we really actually can make a difference in a time when you can't do that often. So I think we're really excited about this. We also think it would actually it would be pretty remarkable to see how much the food waste, how much the garbage and trash would drop because of people redirecting it, which is, you know, we'll keep track of it. So
I'd like to add two clarifications. Though most towns have not put in bans, you have to understand that we are falling behind. If you take a chart, Black Earth gave me a chart of every surrounding town and, you know, out several towns. We are one of a few communities who can't muster 50 or 100 folks to get curbside pickup because Carlisle has long driveways and doesn't like curbside pickup. We are falling behind. All of the surrounding towns, I mean, Acton, Concord has 10%. We have 0.4%, you know, 8 out of 2,000 households. And if we find ourselves with a state ban in 2030 or 2031, we then could have a problem, because if we've made no progress by then, that's point one.
Because we will have to,
Correct.
our
Point two is, we believe we're.
DPW folks will have to be cops, or what?
Say again?
Why will we be in trouble?
We'd be in trouble because even though we don't do inspections here, presumably the state would have a contamination threshold at Wheelabrator. So we get a truckload there, we can be inspected, typically 3 or 4% of our loads be inspected. We fail a load, it comes back to the transfer station, gets dumped on the asphalt.
There's a host of issues involved in a 2030
You're right, sure.
organic waste ban, and
Sure.
especially in towns with curbside pickup, where you now
Sure.
have to, I mean,
Sure.
so I'm skeptical
Yeah,
that
the
2030
other
is
point
gonna.
I'd like to make is, we view we're at a watershed moment. We've been in business now almost 4 years, it'll be 4 years July 1, and have been able, fortunately, with your support, we appreciate the support we've gotten over the years, to reduce solid waste 3 or 4% a year, 17% over the 3.5 years. There are very few communities in the state who've come anywhere close to that. The state, in fact, as a whole, has increased solid waste in the last 6 years. We are at a watershed in that right now, without this ban, my belief is that we will stop reducing solid waste, and new growth, 12 houses a year, will be hard pressed just to offset that. It's about 12 tons of additional waste per year, and we'll, around the margins, play with ceramics or this or that and get a ton here, a ton there. But organics is the only remaining addressable component that has the potential to allow us to continue to reduce 25, 50 tons of waste per year in the foreseeable future. So for us, we have a meeting on Thursday. Without the ban, we're gonna pretty much, as Laura said, stop spending money on organics and move to whatever we can do for reuse and ceramics and other stuff. With the ban, we'll be all in and make this a success. So that's,
So you
to us, it's
propose
a watershed.
ban?
Mandate.
Well, mandate, ban.
Mandate.
What we need is the policy, so we can go to the
Mandate.
town and get folks who want to do the right thing to do the right thing. And we believe that's a lot of folks who want to do the right thing.
Right,
Yeah,
and
honestly, yeah.
And I guess, go ahead, no.
I was gonna ask, so what is your metric for success? Let's say we, go with that recommended wording, 1 year on, 3 years on, 5 years on,
5%
whatever.
growth per year, a couple hundred households a year.
A couple hundred households per year.
100 to 200 households a year for the foreseeable future. I mean,
They do the curbside pickup with Black Earth.
I don't care what they do. They do curbside pickup, the transfer
They don't put it
station,
in
home
solid waste.
They're
composting.
not putting.
Right,
Yeah.
and then we would see a reduction in the tonnage or whatever.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay, so I guess,
we monitor that every month.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we'd see, if we get 100, we'll see about a 25-ton reduction. If we get 200, we see a 50-ton reduction. That's what we're hoping for, 25 to 50 tons per year for the foreseeable future.
I think, sometimes people have to hear things in multiple different ways. And so our goal is to, if we get a mandate, to be able to keep focusing on bringing it up in different ways and making it easy for people to do this. And I think that you then start, I started weighing my food waste. It's like, oh my God, but I compost. But it's just sort of interesting, get people kind of aware of it and thinking about it. And I think we'll probably build up some momentum with some time.
Laura, I know you had reached out to me, and I appreciate that, and I had asked you a number of questions, which you got back to me. I shared those responses with the select board, but one of the things I asked was really how much you think that the savings are going to, that was a surprising
There
answer.
were no savings. It's gonna
There are
cost
no
money.
savings
Yeah.
to
The
this.
cost basically will depend upon the balance of home composting, where we'd save money, curbside pickup, we save a lot of money, or if it goes to the transfer station, currently Black Earth pickup is more expensive than solid waste by a factor
Yeah,
of 2.
just
So
is.
bottom line, if all 100 folks chose to bring it to the transfer station, it's gonna cost $2,500 per year. TSAC has agreed to cover that the first year out of its RDP funds. If 200 folks all did that, again, no home composting, no curbside, then it would be $5,000. Our thought is that we'll cover the first year or two, and then if we're very successful and all of a sudden 500,000 families are doing it, which we hope to get to some point, we'd bump up the sticker fee by $5 or $10 and cover it. Because every $5 a sticker fee is almost $10,000 now.
Right, but, so the transfer station will be covered, so if I'm taking my organic waste to the transfer
Correct.
station, that's already in my sticker price at the moment,
Correct.
but that could raise over time. But if I was one of the few people, but I think it's actually growing, the number of people who are having home delivery.
7.
What?
Curbside.
Curbside?
7.
Well.
That's
it's-
in 3
I
years of
think it
trying.
can go up.
It's
Also,
curbside.
people could share, neighbors could share.
Yeah, but I'm just asking, so I do, and this is not a scientific study, but I do think that some of the new residents I've seen who've moved into Carlisle, rather than opting for the transfer station, are having, bins out. I've seen bins and driveways that I haven't. You know
Yeah,
which
those
ones.
two opposite each other.
You
He's my
know
neighbor.
your
I know,
neighbor,
both,
so
it's like,
you-
these are
I'm
young
seeing-
people, young
I'm seeing more of them, and so I'm
families,
just
yeah.
wondering, those people are going to pay more, so they're gonna pay $35 a month more for pickup, essentially. Is that right?
No,
If you-
it's $20, it's
20,
about $20
okay,
a month, yeah.
20. I just wanna understand the
I'll tell you why you might
economics
do
of
it. Unfortunately, I'm in a half a town that's not served, so I can't get the curbside pickup. Tell you why I would do curbside pickup. If you do curbside pickup, you can, for a small additional fee, have them pick up Home Depot-sized bags of leaves. My wife hates leaves, and so I throw them in the woods right now, but I'd love to be able to get rid of 20, 30 bags of leaves every year. And if you're a Black Earth customer, you can do that.
They also will give you bags
They
from
give you stickers, you
composters.
buy them for, a few dollars a sticker, you put them in Home Depot, and they haul it away with your compost.
Okay. And the other question, I mean, there were a number of questions I asked, but was, as far as the state, you've referenced the state ban in this, and I was just curious as to why that was important in this select board initiative, or.
Well, I think we're using it as a persuasion tool. I think it will happen because landfills are filling up and they are shipping a lot to other states. I mean, I think it will happen. I mean, it certainly helps us think about how to move forward and that it is inevitable at some point. But I don't think that is why, necessarily why the select board would be choosing to do it now. I mean, yes, if the ban goes into effect at some point and we already have something in place, it will be a lot easier, it will be a positive experience, it will be good. But that's not reason enough necessarily to say, well, we're gonna do it today. I mean, I think we're doing it today for all the things you read about, and I can send you articles, about what's going on with incineration and all that stuff.
Okay.
So when I ask all these questions, I'm in total agreement with the goals here in terms of reducing organic waste, even setting tangible goals of 5% or 200 households, whatever the right, somewhat attainable metric is that we can publicize. I think where I have an issue is, and even with the word mandate, I feel like you say it's a positive word. To me, as a resident, it feels like a negative word, of like you're telling me what to do. And this, at the end of the day, is a voluntary program that relies on people going through extra effort, enthusiasm, and voluntarily complying. And to me, the best way to do that, and I know you've tried things, and I know, and in reading all the articles, it is very hard to move the needle on this stuff. But I still feel like using a word like ban or mandate will not help the cause. I think it will only potentially have an adverse effect. I think you'll get the people that are going to do it anyway will comply, and the people that don't want to do it won't. And then I wonder, if you're not seeing the results you achieve in a year, where do you go from mandate? Do you then backtrack and say, well, let's social goal? And when I look at the different programs, and I was looking carefully at the Bedford program, which did a pilot program, and their recommendations coming out of that, where they did see some meaningful reduction in the people that did participate, all the recommendations are, quote, success stories, engage residents in educational process, incentivize private pay participation, explore the possibility of a utility credit or rebate for residents. It's all positive incentives, education, outreach. And you even used the word a positive community goal. That, to me, is the language that resonates more. And as a select board member, I would endorse that language. And I would also endorse the select board in our next goal planning session to make this part of our annual goal, tied around a tangible quantitative goal that we can publicize at the transfer station and we could encourage people to get involved with. I still feel like certainly ban, but even mandate to me feels forced. It feels you need to do this.
I honestly don't think the word makes that much difference in terms. I think it's got a lot of what we do to get the community excited. One tell here is 2 months ago when we came before you, you were on the front page of the Mosquito. Okay, how many letters to the editor were published? How many City in the Woods? People are not,
right.
Whether we use mandate or ban, I don't think makes a difference. I mean, we prefer Band-Aid, but not a big deal.
But
we need the policy.
But I would rather make it and I had given this feedback earlier I support something closer to option 3, which is encourage, and I would even go I think we could even strengthen that to say it's a goal or an initiative of the community to do that, and we could make that a select board goal and do the outreach to the schools. But to me, it still feels like, even though mandate is softer, that to me still feels like an imposition or forced, and I don't think that'll be ultimately productive.
I mean, we can work with the policy, and this is what we need,
Yeah, I have a comment on this. You know, I understand exactly sort of how it strikes you or how it comes to you, that the word mandate. But I'm thinking about, say, for instance, the Community Preservation Act, which was something we adopted at town meeting. But, every year, you don't have a choice as a property taxpayer. You are paying, that 2% into a fund. And why did we choose to do that? Why did we continue to choose to do that? Because there are community benefits that we don't have the ability to fund in any other way.
That was also
right?
approved by the
And
town, not imposed by the select board.
No, but it you don't see people coming forward and saying, well, let's change this because it's been forced on me as a taxpayer. I didn't, all the new people that have moved into town, they didn't have a chance to vote on that. My point being,
Yeah.
Scott, is that I think it's very clear from any number of surveys and what's in the master plan that there is a very significant increase in the popular concern, not just in Carlisle, but across the world, about climate change. And this is a very small bit, but it's a small piece of saying to people in this community, we, the select board, feel that it's really important to exert leadership in this area. And we're saying that we want to see everybody in town doing this. And to say, my screen's gone down, but the encouraging people, the responsible disposal of food waste, that's in essence what the TSAC has been doing, right? They've tried in numerous ways, and it didn't come directly from the select board, but there's been a lot of public discussion, publicity, individual outreach. I just think as a select board member that we are at a time when we should be, unless we don't think it's a significant concern, that we as a select board should be behind our town reducing its carbon footprint, however you want to describe that. If we think that is important, and you're saying, yeah, we could make it a goal of the select board, then why is a goal stronger than a mandate? No, it's not. It's saying we would like to get there, but it's not saying we want as a town for all of us to get there. So anyway, I'm obviously supportive of moving ahead as a select board to support a mandate.
Barney, to your analogy, though, the CPC funds, those are tax funds, so there is a stick behind that. If you don't pay the CPC fund, you're not paying your taxes.
Yeah,
and
but,
so
but Travis, come on,
that's-
we
that's what
impose
he's
taxes all day
arguing.
long, we don't
He's
have this kind of
arguing-
navel gazing.
He's arguing that it's an unfunded mandate.
Everything we do, we impose all kinds of stuff when we make decisions about whether to build a fire station or whether to pay for Sustainability Day. We are imposing tax on the people. We are saying we believe it, and therefore we're packing it in the budget, and you taxpayer gotta pay. We're elected to tell you that. So it's completely disingenuous to separate this little piece out from all the other stuff we do on an economic basis. Now, his argument, I think, is okay. I mean, it's a reasonable argument to say a carrot or a stick. But the financial argument is a BS argument. I'm sorry.
I'm talking, well, there's
Let me
no
ask-
stick, is what I'm saying.
Everything we do has a stick to it. That's what I'm saying. To single this one out is silly. So I wouldn't make that argument. I think the argument that I think is resonant is whether we would do better psychologically, holistic, if we were gentle and encouraging, or whether we use the B word or the M word, right? I personally agree with Barney, but I can see Scott's argument.
And when I look at other programs, that's what I see in terms of the recommendation. I don't see put a mandate, put a ban in place. I see these
That's a
other things.
reasonable debate to have.
So that leads me to believe if those other tactics were successful or effective, why don't we see them more?
Vermont is working.
The What's the language around recycling again? You said it's not stipulated. Recycling.
Sorry?
What is the language around recycling? I mean, that's
The
achieved.
state statute around, or
It's a
law
state law.
around
It's a
It's a
recycling?
state law.
It's
Yeah.
it's called the
Penalties.
solid waste
Yeah, yeah.
ban.
People
Vermont's,
ignore it.
Well,
Vermont's
85%
laws.
comply, which is not, we'd be pleased as punch if we had 85% compliance with the solid food waste, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah.
I mean, Vermont offers the same things we offer, which is that people have places they can take their food waste for no cost, and that's a big factor in the complexity with a lot of towns in Massachusetts that
And if
don't
I
have
could
that.
speak just briefly, Vermont is a ban, it's a statewide ban. We bring it up because there are a lot of communities in Vermont that are more like Carlisle, operating with a transfer station, as contrasted with Hamilton. But but it is a ban, it has the thou shalt not impact to some. But there's also a public policy statement that it is driven by, by voluntary participation in the goals of the ban. So yes, we can say that, Vermont is soft on the way it's doing things, but it's starting with a top-down statement.
But did the individual, did they do it on a town-by-town basis?
Yes.
And did that follow the statewide ban or precede it?
I don't know what preceded it, quite
Because I
frankly.
mean, one way is to wait till let
2030,
let
yeah.
Governor Healy wield the big stick and we'll follow up.
I mean, what I'd like to see happen is, I know you've tried things. We haven't made this a priority of the select board before. I still prefer the carrot
Yeah.
in terms of making it a priority. I mean,
You're not really giving a carrot, you're just patting people on the back.
well, and you're doing outreach. You're trying to get other groups involved, including the PTO and the school, and bring them
The school
along.
so clarify that for me. The
School's
school does, or
separate.
they do recycle?
Yeah, I know they're
through-
separate, but
They
But they
have
do,
their own.
but they do in fact compost, right? Through
Uh,
that.
oh,
No.
No, it's
food-
transfer
only
station.
food prep, not the waste from.
Back in my day.
Students.
They aren't, are you
Food
talking about the
that's
school, they aren't
huge.
composting
Because they had
cafeteria
a program
food.
that kind of fell by the wayside as certain
Yeah.
parents and
Yeah,
students
top of-
moved on.
Let's fix it.
That's not included in
Do
this.
do
Right,
we
it's
not
not
think
part
if
of
we,
this.
if we made this a goal and we set a goal and got the community involved, that there's not some chance of success?
I think there's a chance.
And then if that doesn't work, then we can take the next step of a mandate or something.
Sure.
I just
would,
feel
I
like-
would, I would tell you, Christine says don't bring up the school, but
Well,
if
the
we use
school-
your approach, I
Well,
would
the school
absolutely
said
go
that.
back to
Yeah,
the school and say,
Yeah,
what
this
are
is a goal.
you doing?
That
This
could
is
be
a
a
goal.
Get on the
huge
wagon.
win. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's up to the school committee and the PTO and whoever to.
And it's somewhat semantics. I have a negative reaction to mandate, the word. And I'm sure there's some portion of the population that does as well.
Yeah.
So that's the semantic part of it. But I mean, I would prefer to see it be a goal, be a community goal, measure it, get people involved, and again, not necessarily just TSAC, select board, the school committee, and use that approach. And if we're not seeing.
We do have the support of the ESC, as I know you have, I see Christina and Eric here as well.
And if we're not seeing any improvement and we're not seeing any traction, then we can say, maybe we need to ratchet this up. And I don't know, can we do, we've done non-binding resolutions at town meeting to get town's input on, do they support a ban? I mean, maybe the town supports a ban, but I would want to hear from the town. I haven't heard anything from the town. I've talked to some people about it, and I generally get a universally negative reaction to it, to be quite honest, but I don't know what the town thinks about this. I
Scott, in
suspect,
terms of what you're proposing, are you proposing the third language or no language at all?
no, I'm definitely proposing
The third
language.
The third option, yeah.
Yeah, and I would even strengthen it with
Yeah, I
making
mean,
a
I
goal
prefer
with.
mandate, but I personally think we can succeed with the third thing. I mean, that's my opinion anyway.
I'd rather try that from a select board standpoint. My preference would be to take that tack, and if it's not working, then we can ratchet it up. I don't mean 5 years from now. I mean,
Well,
let's set a goal of 200 households.
So if the select board comes out with something stronger than encourage, but we feel this is, very important and we want to achieve success or reduce our,
We want 200 more households composting in
and then, and
2026.
so people will read that and what, the mosquito, or, it's like, oh, okay, well,
No, we'll talk to this, we'll say this is a select board goal to the school committees, to the different constituents.
Schools, you have to rely on all the parent volunteers in many ways. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm saying that could happen, but
The-
that's
the
their
school is
business.
sep- We've talked a lot about
I don't think
schools.
mandate is gonna
The
change
schools
it.
is a
Well,
separate
it wouldn't
story
affect
because
them.
they're not doing much right now about sustainability in general. We'd like to see them have a paid position for a teacher to manage
Yeah.
this, an environmental club. That may help us
Yeah.
in 2028. Not gonna help us 2026, 2027, but they should be doing all of that,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
agree. I don't disagree with, it's all about the
Yeah.
wording and the tactic
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
the goals. So I don't know, I mean, I would like for us to at least endorse one of these
Yeah.
tonight, and, because I think the Black Earth thing is a good thing.
All right.
My preference would be the third option with a commitment that, and we can talk about this in the planning session, that we make this one of our select board goals in 2026. And we can have our own wording behind it and set our own goals, you know, take you
Sure.
off the hook a little bit. But I think it's us taking a little more ownership than we have in the past and driving it. And maybe that works and maybe it doesn't. I know it's been really tough to get people to do this nationwide. But I would prefer we try that, and then if not, then you can bring out the stick. But that's my view. Travis, Christine, Arnie, I know.
I think we could probably do a lot to clean up our act with what we dispose of. You're right, most people don't appreciate being told what to do, but it would probably carry more force. So I was actually okay with their suggested wording. I
Which
know-
one?
The first one, I actually was. You know, it is true, it's not enforceable, so that is kind of it carries no teeth. So what's the purpose of a mandate with no teeth? But there is a lot more that we can do. In fact, when we read the statistics of all the towns, we have the most waste. We are clearly not a very neat bunch. So,
Big houses with a lot of waste.
yeah. So we need to clean up our footprint for sure. Yeah.
Travis?
Oh, I generally would feel like you, that I think a goal, but this, you know, a stepped approach to this would make, I think, more sense.
David?
I line up with Barney, but it's more important to me to have a unanimous vote than a 3-2 vote. So I would support yours if everybody else got behind it.
Is it important that we're unanimous?
To me, it is.
No.
Well, for something like this.
You don't want 3-2 votes. They suck.
You know, it's,
They suck. That implies division. It's just not a good thing. Trust me, just don't.
well, but you also
It
want.
implies that we didn't resolve it enough within us. We're 5, we're a tight bunch.
Yes.
I mean, I believe in town government. I'll say this because, you know, I'm on the way out. Like, I believe in town government really strongly. And one of the things that makes it work really well is when you have a cohesive committee that's worked together and understands each other, which I believe we have. And so you got to give a little to get unanimous support. So
Yes.
I support Scott's version.
Okay. Okay. All right, we're beyond our time. Does someone want to make a motion?
Sure. I move that we adopt option 3, which says, in anticipation of the state's ban to residential food waste from the solid waste stream, the select board effective April 22nd.
Are we
oops.
okay with
July
April
1st.
22nd,
Oh,
or do you want to
effective,
change
strike
it?
that.
Well, we can make this, if it's this one, I
Effective,
think you can do it.
It's
Effective April
Okay.
22nd, yeah, why not?
Okay, yeah, this one, I mean, we switched
Yeah.
to
Okay.
July
Okay.
1st, April 22nd would
Encourages
rattle
residents to
people.
responsibly dispose of all food waste and stop disposing it in the solid waste bin at the transfer station.
Your second.
Second.
Further discussion, deliberation?
Well, I wonder if we could add something to the effect of, and that this will be and I know it's easy for me to say because I'm not going to be on the board, but something about it'll be part of the goal setting for the select board for 2026.
I was going to say that not as part of the motion, but I would
Uh-huh.
commit to being a proponent of that being a goal for the select board. Obviously, that'll have to be voted on by the select board, but
Right,
I will
right.
personally be a proponent of that. But I don't think we should include it in the motion.
Okay. How about you,
Because
Travis?
we can't bind the,
Would you be a proponent?
Yeah,
Doing it as part of
want to
goals?
reduce waste at the transfer
Mhm.
station. I think that's an important, I mean, we absolutely should. And it's good for the environment too. I think it's about the how we do this more than the actual thing itself.
Which is just good to have the
Yes.
public
Yep.
commitment.
Sure.
And you're good on that, Christine.
Yeah.
Great.
That's
Good.
3 votes for the goal setting.
It's a majority.
Okay, so we have,
Okay.
any further discussion or deliberation? Let's do a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, so thank you very much. I very much appreciate
Thank
all the
you.
work
Yeah.
to get to this point and all the work you've done, and this will be a priority for next year, so
Great.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your consideration.
All right,
Thank you for the work, too.
we are moving on to finalize and sign the annual town meeting warrant. We're going to open it with a discussion. I understand Wayne is out there in the internets. Discussion with Wayne about,
He's the
Is that his little?
he's the flower. Sorry, I was looking for you, Wayne. I didn't recognize you. So I let that go a little bit long, but we're going to have a discussion with Wayne,
That's okay.
the town moderator, about town meeting logistics. So if we can begin with that.
So I'm not quite sure what in particular you need to know about. We're starting, the main thing for the public to know is that though we've experimented with some Sunday afternoons, and personally I hope we will go back to that for a variety of reasons. It didn't make sense this spring, so you, the select board, scheduled for Monday evening, May the 18th, and the important thing to know is that we're going to have a 6 p.m. start rather than what we used to have, I believe 6 p.m., somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but we're earlier than the usual 7 p.m. that we had done in the past.
Right.
In part to address the concerns of people who wanted to get in and vote on the budget and the important financial articles, and if they had to get back and put kids to bed, they could do that. And the other logistical thing, something that we introduced last year and that people seem to appreciate, is that we're going to get down to business right away. And so the budget and some of the most important financial articles will be coming up front in the warrant rather than starting with just the housekeeping stuff. And it's half an hour until we really get down to the meat of the meeting.
Okay. Ryan, was there anything?
I
from
don't
your-
know if there are any other questions, or Ryan, there are particular things you thought I ought to address?
Nope, you did have some concerns about the solicitation bylaw, which I know we're gonna discuss tonight. Just wanted to make sure you're gonna be comfortable with that process, and then we have some numbers to discuss in terms of what goes on the warrant, what doesn't, for CPA articles, but we've fully vetted the warrant with town council, and we're down to just your recommendations and opinions at this point.
Ours being the select board, you mean,
Yes.
not Wayne's.
Yes, so not exactly logistics, but just on the solicitation bylaw. And I haven't seen the very latest draft of the warrant. I saw the one last week. But my concern from a couple of weeks ago was that we didn't have the full text or the correct text of the proposed, the actual bylaw language. But that, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I believe that your current draft of the warrant now does have the full text of the bylaw language in. And so if that's in and you're talking about it and the public is aware of it, then that takes care of the only concern I had about that particular warrant article.
And we have gotten public feedback on that bylaw, and some changes have been incorporated based on that feedback, so.
Good.
Yep.
Who's speaking to it? Amendola?
At town meeting,
Yeah.
it'll either be me or the chief, most likely the chief.
Well, we're talking about
Yep.
town meeting though, not the actual
Right.
solicitation bylaw.
Right.
Okay.
Was there anything,
Um,
Wayne, do you have any sense, we've been discussing, do we think this will be a one-night meeting or multiple nights? We'll plan for 2, but do you have a sense of that on your end? Part of the reason we started at 6 was.
I honestly don't. You have your fingers a lot closer to the political pulse of Carlisle, and so I mean, I don't I don't see anything on the warrant that has me particularly concerned that we'll be debating something for 90 minutes, but you have better insight on that than I do.
Wayne, one question just came to mind. With regard to any potential amendments that might be brought forth, are you using the same approach as at the special town meeting? Do people need to submit those in advance, or is it being handled as in previous town meetings to that?
Oh, that is a great question. I would like to do that on these bylaw amendments. I think that in particular is a sound procedure because the language matters, and having the opportunity for the proposing board or committee, in the case of the solicitation bylaw, it would be you. In the case of the zoning bylaw amendment, it would be the planning board. To have the proposing board itself have the opportunity to review the language. Sometimes the language is an improvement. And if they accept it and, incorporate it into the actual motion that's made on the floor, it's more efficient. And also you have the opportunity for thorough legal review. So I think it's a sound procedure for both efficiency and for good decision making. But I only want to do that on a bylaw where we have the precise language published in the warrant. Other warrant articles where the precise language is often less critical, I'm reluctant to put too many new rules or constraints on people coming to the meeting and saying, well, I have a better idea.
Okay, so procedurally, that'll be communicated to anybody, to
Yeah,
the
how does
public?
that get out to people?
Yeah, it strikes me that we probably ought to put some sort of note in the published warrant, and also in the various other communications that we do, the podcasts, letters to the mosquito, things like that. I think we can highlight that for folks.
And do we have a date? What was it, was it a week prior? Or
What did we do last
what
time,
was the
Wayne?
lead time?
You remember?
There was a deadline. I think it was,
Yeah, we had it was about a week for the special
MBTA.
town meeting. And I think given that you'll have this warrant will be published within a week from today, right?
Is that the plan, Ryan?
We publish tomorrow.
It's gonna be,
Yes,
seriously?
It's I think a week deadline is is still
Published online.
people
I mean,
have had 3 weeks to figure it out. To me, I think that's adequate. We could probably go shorter if you wanted, but it's certainly if it's in the Monday, if we say 5 p.m. the preceding Monday, then if if any of the boards or committees need to schedule a last minute meeting, there's plenty of time for them to post a meeting and arrange for it to happen. Otherwise, they can handle it if as you do, post a meeting for the day of the town meeting. It can be handled that way.
Brian, did you say the warrant or the motions? Which
The
one?
warrant,
Yeah, that'll be posted tomorrow.
okay. I'll have a couple of little changes on the dates, the terms of the CPA grants. So I can type them up and send them to you right now, if that's okay.
We're gonna go through it. so
We're
you
gonna
can
go.
You want me to just give it to
Live
you
edit.
then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else for Wayne?
Any other, I don't have anything else logistically. I think some of the main, we've had a number of larger procedural changes that we put in place over the last couple of meetings. So this year it's more of a consolidation and getting into a routine.
Good. Great.
Yeah, I'll just say, Wayne reaches out to the staff, coordinates all of us. We have very productive meetings. It's nice to work with Wayne and the staff on this, so. Just wanted to make sure that you didn't have anything else for town meeting the select board needed to discuss.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you, Wayne.
Okay, I'll turn off my camera and I'll try to stay available just in case as you're going through, if anything pops up on one of the articles that you feel like you need my input. Hopefully I'll still be connected on Zoom and I can tap back in as needed.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to discuss some of the contents and the actual warrant itself. And I wanted to start with a discussion of the classification and wage plan. And included in the packet is a timeline that I put together of the question of the health director title. And the reason that we're spending a few minutes on this tonight is just to surface an issue that exists that needs to be corrected. And it's been a point of discussion between the staff and the various boards. And I just wanted to highlight the timeline overall and just surface some of the information, just so it's all out there and people understand the history, how we got here, and how we're going to fix it. So in the packet, I'm just going to run through the timeline briefly, and I know Dave Erickson is here from the Board of Health to provide additional commentary and answer any questions we have. But going back to April 28th of 2025, the Board of Health approved a title change for the health agent, and they approved the change from health agent to health director. There was no change in wage, it was a title change only. And the Board of Health believed that they had the authority to do that, and they did not. And the title was also not included in the fiscal 25 or fiscal 26 town-approved salary and wage table, which means that essentially, ultimately, all the titles and wages in town have to be approved by the town. And in the interim, there's a process by which you can get interim titles approved, and that wasn't done. And then fast forward, it wasn't caught, so it wasn't included in the salary and wage table at that town meeting, nor was it brought up in the special town meeting. And then in January, when our health agent or health director, Linda Fantasia, she announced her public retirement publicly, and at that time, the Board of Health formed a search committee and began the process to fill the position being health director, the title.
Right, yeah, she was right.
Right. So then between January 22nd and February 11th, and I just include those dates just to give people a sense of the tight time frame that things were operating under. The position was advertised, a search committee was formed that included our HR director and some people outside of the Board of Health. That process surfaced Kelly, is it pronounced Kalo? Kelly Kalo? Callow? Sorry. It surfaced Kelly Callow, who was a unanimous recommendation of the search committee. She interviewed with the Board of Health, and ultimately the Board of Health authorized the chair to give her the job offer of health director for Carlisle. The offer letter was sent and it's signed. And then subsequent to that, there was some further emails about to the Board of Health from the town administrator and the health director regarding the health director and the need to approve at town meeting this title. And so Patrick had emailed both Christine and I with his accounting of the timeline, which matches this accounting. And also he had contacted town council, who recommended approving at town meeting. I also talked to town council independently to see if there's anything the select board should be doing in the interim. His answer was, given the proximity to town meeting, the best course of action was to simply include the title in the salary and wage table and have it approved at town, and that there was nothing required in the interim. So long story short, that recommendation is included in the salary and wage table, and that's the ultimate fix that's needed here.
Right, so that's the fix, but the root cause is what? That there was not enough education we talk about onboarding and training, right? But we tend to focus on open meeting law and stuff. But don't our boards and committees need to know, like, the laws that govern their behavior? Like wage and class would be, any hiring authority board needs to be, I mean, for the future, okay, they messed up, but back in 25, I mean, that change should not have been, somebody should have said, wait a minute, we gotta look at a procedure, right? Where are we with training on that? What are we gonna do to fix that?
I think they
There's-
were,
There's two pieces missing from this that I would like to be clear from staff. So this was discussed in 2024 and 2025 with Linda as a position change. So we were aware that they were looking at the position change. We were just never invited to the conversation.
Did you tell them that it needed your approval?
Yes.
And they ignored that?
I don't know if I want to say ignored, but we were
You
never.
gotta say, Ryan, we can't fix unless we say.
When no one.
Were
was-
they informed?
I'm not sure how the Board of Health communicates.
Okay.
So
I
we-
want to give Dave Erickson, I see your hand raised, give
The
Dave.
second thing was on January 20th, we sent an email to the Board of Health asking them to discuss this position when we knew Linda was retiring, to make sure that we went over job descriptions and other items. So this was well before the process started, in order to try to alleviate some of these concerns. So I don't think that the staff isn't informing boards. We don't have the authority to assist in HR in boards that have their own HR authority.
They still have to follow town policies.
But we can't make them as staff.
I see, Dave, you have your hand raised. I want to give you the chance
Yes.
to answer to that.
As I recall, and I don't have everything right in front of me, but as I recall, before we changed Linda's title to health director, we checked with town council to see if indeed we had the authority to do that. And the town council said we did have the authority to do that, which is why we did it.
Dave, that's
So-
not reflected in your minutes.
Well,
You're
that's-
saying in
that's-
April of last year.
I believe that we had the minutes that we were going to check. No, it wasn't April of, it was the previous meeting, I believe. I believe in the minutes we were going to have Patrick check with town council, which he did. And perhaps I neglected to put it in the minutes, but as I recall, the report was the town council said we did indeed have the authority to do that. So we did that at the next meeting.
And the town council, on a follow-up in March, did a review of the bylaws and confirmed to both ourselves and Patrick that it wasn't authorized, and that's at the same.
Okay, well, that's fine, but at
Yep.
the time we did it, we thought we had the authorization. So I certainly would like to get this cleaned up,
Yep.
and so if we can get and put it on the, bring it before the town meeting, it would be good, then there will be no disagreement, because
One
it
of
is a
the,
little distressing. I do feel very strongly that Linda deserved the title of health director. And of course, we hired Kelly for the position of health director. So getting all the T's crossed and I's dotted, I think that would be a great thing.
Yeah, but I want to distinguish between corrective action, which we'll take and clean it up, and root cause fix to make sure it doesn't happen again.
so David, to your
So
point,
It's very important to me that it's clear that Aubrey did articulate to the Board of Health that this did need to be classified. And she was told that essentially that they were gonna do that. in
They're
that.
going to do that how?
So when did
So,
Audrey?
I'm sorry, just to finish, so Aubrey did try to classify this correctly, so it wasn't the staff saying, hey, we don't know, or whatever. We clearly articulated the process that needed to be done here. Whether or not the appointing authority follows that process, we don't have any control over, but we did make it very clear.
We say we have no control, but we have rules, we have bylaws, and we have rules. And whether or not they're elected or appointed is irrelevant. Officials of the town, you, us, the Board of Health, anybody else, has to follow the rules. What mechanism do we have to make sure they're following the rules and enforce those rules? Otherwise, we got a wild, wild west. I mean,
It's true.
we gotta have rules. We can't have people deciding on their own. I'm even not that comfortable with boards just going willy-nilly to town council, but,
The
really,
Board of
like, you
Health
got rules and
reports-
you need
the Board
training
of
and you
Health
need
reports
adherence
the
to
state,
rules.
not to the select board. So we are in a somewhat different position than other boards, and there was an attempt at the last town meeting to change that. It was overruled. So we are a little different than other boards. Nevertheless, we would certainly like to work to make sure everybody is happy with the result.
So one thing that's clear to me, to your point about how do we avoid this, we know how to fix this particular issue. How do we
fix this one? I get
How
it.
do we avoid this issue going forward, especially as boards begin to turn over and aren't as
Right.
familiar with the discussions in the past? And I had mentioned, I had a conversation with Aubrey, and one thought I had was, I know one of the challenges we've had when we were doing the TA bylaw, each independent board is supposed to designate their
Yeah.
HR rep. That hasn't necessarily happened, and so I think we need to put a tighter process on that. When we start a new board, we should have literally a form that's like signed off by that board that lists the responsibilities and designates that person. I don't know,
Person on the board to be. an
on the
HR.
board, and we know it's been approved by that board.
So can we force an independently elected board to fill out that form?
So the question is, if they don't appoint that person, do they not have access to the posting board? Like, what is the remedy? At least we can, I do think we have to remind people what the responsibilities are.
Right.
So I think education is important. So while I've heard Mr. Erickson say before that the Board of Health reports to the state, that's true for the regulatory authorities that are assigned to the Board of Health. But the elected officials of any town report to the voters, and the voters in Carlisle through bylaw have dictated how local policies should be followed. And town council very clearly has articulated that because the Board of Health has reporting requirements from the state, doesn't mean that they're exempted from HR policy.
Right. I mean,
Okay,
does-
well, I don't believe the Board of Health is going to be appointing anyone in the near future. As I say, I would like to get this corrected. I'm sure everyone else from the Board of Health would like to get
Yeah.
it corrected as well. So I think it's great that it's going before.
Yep.
Yeah,
before the
Dave,
town.
this is Barney, and I just wanted to ask you specifically, though, the information that you were given about the correct process to follow on this, why did the Board of Health not follow it? Why wasn't there working with our HR director to do this appropriately?
So Linda Fantasia, I was just checking, and of course this was announced during her retirement. She was hired in 1986. I presume, although I couldn't verify this, that she was hired in the position of health agent. So she'd been in the same position for nearly 40 years. How many people work in any company and never get a promotion?
That's irrelevant.
I mean, if nothing else, it strikes
Doesn't
me
address
that
Barney's
there was a
Dave, I understand your point, but I don't think, that's not really what I'm asking. I'm asking if the information that the Board of Health received, prior to starting the process of interviewing and hiring a new health agent, health director, all that information was provided to you, to the Board of Health. And so I'm just trying to figure out why the Board of Health didn't follow the procedure then.
I believe Aubrey Thomas was on the selection committee, on the interview committee.
And she made
I mean,
recommendations.
we were working with the town.
Mr. Erickson, she made recommendations to you and was told to stay in her HR lane. So
Okay, well, I didn't
she
tell her
helped
that.
you with the
I mean, I'm
position.
not sure who said that. I mean, it is true that and if I had been talking to her, I believe that the Board of Health is responsible for hiring their employees. So I don't know what her
That's
comment
irrelevant.
was, that
That-
where she.
I think, and I don't want to speculate, but I don't think the entire Board of Health had the full picture.
Of what
Okay.
was,
Well, anyway, look,
So I don't, and there's, yeah.
we have our issues with the Board of Health. Dave alluded to some of the bad blood from before. I get it. So we're done. But going forward, and I don't care if it's Board of Health, school board, library, I don't care. It's really important that we establish some kind of system, whether it's a training, a form that we check off. The health agent / director, if she goes on a conference, I presume she fills out an expense report. Is that true?
Yes.
And she can't make up like a charge, right? She
Right.
has to
No,
follow
that's
the
absolutely
rules we
true.
lay down about expense reports.
Yes.
So this is like that, like we have rules and you follow rules.
I know this doesn't sound factual.
Right.
It sounds charged, but I will tell you that every single board in every single department follows HR policy, except for the Board of Health. So I don't think this is a town-wide policy.
Okay, but is it they follow, I mean, is it willful or lack of training?
We can't ask them that because they're,
Well, he's right here, ask him.
Well,
Is
they're-
it willful or
they're-
lack of training, David?
they're an elected
Well,
body of the
I don't
town.
know. So what HR policy, I mean, there was some disagreement perhaps about what position we should be hiring for. So I will grant that. What HR policy were we otherwise not following?
Well, the town
Unfortunately-
bylaw.
Unfortunately, because of HR policy, I can't just talk about different policies that were or were not followed, but I can say for sure that the Board of Health believes they're an independent HR authority that does not always need to operate within the policies set forth by the town.
Honestly, I think you need to go to the state. I don't think you can put up with this as a town. I think you got, if you really feel that way, I'd say go to the state, to wherever the Board of Health reports up to, and say, tell us, state, what policies we put in place that board needs to follow. Please tell us that in writing.
Well, you say that we did not follow the policies, and I'll grant that perhaps we had disagreement on the title, but you won't tell me what policy it is that.
Well, we'll find
we
that
didn't
out.
follow,
We'll
So
sit
I
down.
have difficulty answering you.
No, that's town council was clear about the bylaws and policies that were not followed, and Patrick, to his credit, acknowledged that the Board of Health did not have the authorization, and then,
Oh,
and-
okay,
They did it
great.
anyway.
Well,
and he,
then I will-
he
I will talk to
promptly,
Patrick.
he promptly emailed both Christine and I with a timeline and said, and contacted town council, and said, we need to fix this. So, why there was a gap of that time, I don't know if they were given bad
In which
information.
our HR director said you're not following and was told to stay in line. I mean, okay, fair enough. I mean, listen, this is a waste of time right now. But I honestly believe if you feel that there is any board that is not following the procedures that we believe are properly, all boards need to follow, elected or appointed, then we should go to the state authority and get it in writing. You either do or do not have to follow these rules, including bylaws, and get it in writing. I mean, if we have to do it that way, it's kind of stupid, but
Are you saying that to me?
yes, I am absolutely saying that to you.
So there is no state board that does that. So the only people that the Board of Health answer to are the residents of Carlisle.
Right.
No, they report up to something, don't they always wait?
No,
for- only for
it's
health regulation.
State Department of Health.
Because they're elected, the
There's gotta be some.
We are
There
elected.
is, town meeting and the
they're elected.
voters. It's one of the problems with HR law, is that if you don't want to follow it as an elected official, you don't have to.
Dave, it sounds like, okay, so at one point, about a year ago, your board was told by Linda that you have the authority to promote her. I mean, just in general, as a board, one might see a conflict of interest there, right? She's suggesting that,
Yeah,
of course
I
you have
thought
the opportunity to promote me. And then when given contrary information by Aubrey, you chose to believe your own employee. I mean, I get, yes, we all rely very heavily on our town staff, but it just seems like there should have been a little more fact-checking.
Okay, well, I would agree with you. I had thought, I mean, I don't recall exactly who it was. It may well have been Linda that we'd asked to talk to the town council. And she reported back to us that the town council said, whoever it was, whether it was Linda or Patrick, and I can't say that I remember for sure, but somebody said that they did indeed.
The minutes, Dave.
And you're right,
the-
right.
the-
Trusting Linda to report accurately what the town council said, there should be some question whether that was wise or not. You're right.
The minutes say that Patrick took the action to go talk to town council, and at least as far as the minutes record, he didn't do that until January, let's call it, March, yeah. So it's some span of time passed, for sure, almost a year. Okay, so I hear you, the past is the past, we'll make it right at town meeting, but in the future, when town staff comes to the Board of Health and says that something is required or needs your attention, we would expect that due attention be paid.
And I would agree with that. I mean, certainly things like HR issues, I mean, anything that involves inappropriate action or anything like that, we certainly want to follow
Who,
town procedure.
who on the Board of Health currently, Dave, has sort of HR responsibilities? Who will be reviewing Kelly's performance at the end of the year? Who's responsible for signing that off and handing in a form to
Will
town
most
council?
likely be the one. I mean, assuming he's still chairman, he will be the one. I mean, basically, we all have the opportunity to report our perception of how things are. But Patrick's the one who in the past has actually sat down with Linda or the health agent or health director.
Does your board not rotate the chair role?
We don't have a rule, no. I think Patrick has been chair for the last 2 years, I think.
Longer.
Yeah, longer than
Tony-
that. Okay.
Tony
That's up
was
to you
chair
guys.
before.
Just so long as somebody is filling out the performance evaluation and getting it back
When
into
I
town
was-
hall.
When I
And
was
Patrick
in
has
your
been doing
seat
that,
as
I believe.
liaison to Board of Health, I proposed to the Board of Health on behalf of the Select Board that they adopt the policy we have, which is a open meeting performance evaluation, and the mechanism we adopted of how to do that and all this and that. And in that meeting, the one meeting we had on it, I think was pretty categorically rejected as not workable, not right, lots of reasons why no. So we did present a form of that to them, and they said, that won't work for us. We're not going to do it that way. We don't believe in it. So they've gone to, I guess the chair sits with the health now director, and I don't know what work product comes out, but to my understanding, there's no goal setting. I don't know if there's any metrics. Now, again, and I understand David's point. Like, you have a 40-year employee who's been around much longer than any of the staff. Now you have a brand-new employee. There is a chance, and I would encourage the Board of Health to be proactive and set it up the way, like, we run the rest of our government.
Right.
Like,
Set
there's a
goals.
reason. Set rules, set protocols, and consider an open eval, because that is, if you're going to step up to director, like superintendents get evaluated in open meeting and town administrators get evaluated in open meeting, that's kind of
Have you guys set goals yet, Dave?
As I say, Patrick has been doing the reviewing, so I'm not actually sure what he's been doing.
I would
I
encourage,
don't recall having a meeting to actually specifically set goals. I mean, in general, we've been pretty happy. We've been happy with what Linda had been doing. Basically, things seem to be running pretty smoothly. Now, you're right, we now have a new employee, so I think that this is a good time to perhaps evaluate our procedures and see how they can be improved.
and I would recommend that you not, it's beneficial to have the entire board involved in that. It minimizes bias, it maximizes transparency. That's true of any board or any chair. That process, the evaluation process, goal setting, should all be involving the full board. And I think that would be a strong recommendation, is that the Board of Health adopt that approach.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 years ago, I think we all did write our view of how Linda was doing. I don't know that we did the last time. So that we gave our input to Patrick and then let Patrick do the review. But we're not actually involved in the final review. But okay, I think that's a fair point, and we should, it's something that we should discuss.
And I don't want to belabor this, but I do think we should, working with Aubrey, I do think we need to put in some safeguards going forward to ensure that, A, these independent boards have actually designated officially, and we know that it's been voted on, an HR representative, and B, that there's at least every year, as part of that process, there's a review of the policies and bylaws and/or responsibilities that they are responsible for as elected officials. I think if we don't have that thing, I think it should all be part of the same thing. It'll force the discussion at least and the visibility, and then on the other side of the table, we'll have the piece of paper that says, this is our person, because I think part of the confusion too was what is the goal, what is the board voted on and endorsed versus the individual, and
Yeah.
so it can just get confusing there.
Right.
So I do think there's some process things we'll look at going forward to the benefit of all boards, independent boards. But in this case, the remedy is to update the wage and classification table.
Okay, we got it.
And I will say I met with Kelly, our new health director,
Yep.
and great meeting, very excited about her
Very
perspective,
very
and
nice.
I've heard nothing but good things. So
Great.
So who is speaking right now?
this is Scott.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
Yes, no, and I know Kelly's met with Ryan, and relations there so far seem to be good.
Yeah.
So,
she was great. And I know the selection committee and the Board of Health all had very strong things to say about her, so we're excited to have her.
good. So are we.
All right, can we move on
I
from
mean,
this
I
one?
will say that was part of the issue. We didn't want to allow the process of hiring a replacement get too drawn out, and Kelly did appear to be the ideal candidate. I mean, I will have to say, the board was very concerned about what would happen if Linda left and there was no one to replace her. So we did feel that we were under some pressure to try to hire someone fairly quickly.
Okay, so with that, let's move on. Thank you, Dave. Let's move on to the other items to be discussed as part of the town warrant. Did you want to talk about the canvassing and solicitation bylaw next?
Yes, so logistically, at town meeting, Aubrey's going to present the changes to the wage and classification plan, and then the Board of Health can or cannot present the change of the health director, and then that would be voted on as a article.
So in the warrant that we got today, is that already showing the change for the health director?
Correct.
So that would be, you're saying it would be highlighted in some way to indicate that this is a change that the town has to approve?
There's several of those.
Every year, we show all the changes to the wage and
Yeah,
classification plan.
yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying,
All the bold ones are.
are changes,
Right.
okay.
So the
And then
thinking was Aubrey would typically give a brief, this is normally part of the consent agenda, and I think just given, for the issue of transparency and visibility, that we break this one out. Aubrey can speak to these other title changes, and then the Board of Health can speak to the health director title change, briefly, if we want to do that.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about, there's a bunch in there that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, no, I wasn't familiar with either, but,
There's a lot of, well, I think it's important, given all these changes, that we do at least take a minute to explain this to the town. We're
Yes,
making
I
kind of a big
agree.
deal out of this right now, and
Yeah.
even myself being guilty, someone that's been involved in town for 15 years, I never give much thought to this thing, and you can
Right.
see where it's,
right.
everyone needs a little reminder that this actually is
It's
important.
Right.
Yeah, and Aubrey's here if you have any detailed questions, but the significant changes are the reclassification of DPW positions as we presented to you last meeting, talking about the different certification levels, and then by moving the entire facilities department onto the town wage plan, all of those positions now show up. So it looks like a lot of bold positions, but it's really from those two large moves.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All the facilities positions used to be in the school HR plan, and now they're on the towns, so they're just moving over. There's no new positions, they're just now on the town side.
Okay.
And then just for clarity, the health agent and the health director are both grade 11. There's not a change in grade there.
I thought I saw something wasn't there something in the packet about a change?
No,
in the-
there was no change in wage.
I thought we hired the new health director at a significantly higher salary.
At the top of that scale.
It's still
Ah,
grade 11.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to talk about solicitation?
So there's a few things we need to accomplish with the warrant tonight. There's a couple outstanding recommendations to include the ZBA amendment, the ZBA bylaw amendment, the solicitation bylaw. I want to talk to you about the fire station, and then there's some CPA comments. And then review the entirety of the warrant if you so choose.
We've got 10 minutes.
All right, I'm gonna go through what I think would be relatively quick, and then stop where we need to. Okay, so the budget chart that you're used to is now in the warrant, and it matches the presentation you got on March 24th with all the facts and figures that were supported by the Finance Committee. So that's Article 1. Article 2, we've included the capital item chart per the moderator's suggestion to make sure people know what they're voting on. So that is now a set item. They won't change much with the motion.
And there'll be, people will speak to them, like DPW,
Page you on?
somebody will present on the big items?
Oh, just on
Which
3,
is
okay.
35.
James, and I'm also projecting it here, so James does present this and adds department heads as
Got it,
necessary.
okay.
Okay, all right, got it, okay.
35 in the packet.
Facilities maintenance, that includes the bucket of
right
items
direction.
under the control of the
I'm on page
Municipal
40.
Facilities Committee.
Yep.
Okay, so generally identified but available for all facilities adjustments that are necessary. Okay, the fire station project, I want to talk to you about this briefly. So right now, we don't have the final number, it's still out to bid. The last number we received is this 17,466,760. That is in the summary for transparency, but that does not need to be there, or it could be a different number. I just wanted to know what you're comfortable with. This is your warrant article. So right now, the motion is set for any number. The summary is just explaining it for
But
transparency.
that number at the moment includes the contingency and all the other little bits and pieces.
Yeah, that was the recommended number.
We've had this issue before about whether to include or not, and if it came in at 19 million, are we, doing a disservice?
This is what, this number in the yellow, this goes out tomorrow? This gets published, this effectively?
Yep.
And so, to Travis's point, you're gonna learn you're gonna get a little more fidelity in the next month or whatever,
A lot more fidelity.
Yeah.
and so that number will change, and if it changes, by what percent are we comfortable in pushing it forward?
That's why I have it highlighted here.
Yeah.
So right now, it's just informational, but it can be leading, so.
Yeah.
Well, do we have, I know it's hard to,
Eric's
No.
raising his hand too from the committee.
Oh, is he out there?
okay.
Hey, Eric, do you want to say a word on that?
Just
Just
a
say your
very
name, please.
quick one. This is Eric Caballas, Knoll Farm Road. And just a very quick one, in the recording that we made today for display on the website for the town meeting information, we used the 17.4 number as a number that was based on the estimates from the construction documents that was presented to the select board on whatever the meeting date was. That's how it was framed in that discussion, which will probably appear on the Carlisle website. Just wanted to let you know that's the number we used, and we described it that way. And we also described that we're out for the bid, and that we expect a higher fidelity, a more reliable number that will be available at the time of town meeting.
And it says that in the summary, an updated number based on actual bids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we're misrepresenting, I think it's more like,
Yeah.
okay, so 10% is 1.75 million. Is that like a upper collar, like I'm looking for some,
Well, I think on the 28th, or the meeting after, we're going to have to look at the number and say, are we,
okay, well, we've already said we
We've already
recommend
recommended,
passage.
yeah.
Do we want to suspend that and say, and wait?
let me put it this way, we could not move, there's a world where you don't move the article.
Right.
If we move the article, I assume we're
We
recommending
recommend passage.
passage.
Okay, fair
If
enough.
it comes in 25 million and we're like, whoa, then I don't
We
think
don't need to handicap it right now.
I don't think we would move the article if it was so out of whack that we wouldn't recommend it.
Right, okay, fair statement.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So your position is that we will in the next meeting or the meeting after that, but well before before town meeting,
Yeah.
we'll have a number and we'll be able to decide, are we going forward or not?
or there may be remaining unknowns where we just say this is not ready to bring to the town.
Okay, that's fair. I accept
But I
that.
think it's a binary, like,
Yeah.
do we,
Right. So it's not a matter of a certain percentage above or below. It's just a gut check kind of.
yeah, I think we have to wait to see what comes in.
Right.
And
Yeah.
also the outcome of the planning board discussions.
I'm okay with that. They haven't finished that? I thought they were all sorted out.
Go ahead, Eric.
Just one last quick thing is that in that 17.4 number, there was a contingency that's primarily reserved for surprises during construction. But there is a contingency. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'll try and relay some of that information to you, as well as the exact date that we expect the bids back. And, another day or two to review them, and we then could supply you with a better number.
Yeah.
Were you saying the word million shouldn't be?
Doesn't, yeah,
I took it over.
because that would be
Yeah.
17
Okay, right.
Millions.
Right,
We might end up
Right.
there.
That would
Right.
be 17
right, yeah.
Millions.
trillion
Okay.
dollars or something like that, right?
So I don't know. I think just leave it in. That's
As written, minus the million,
minus the million, correct?
I would, if I were, I mean, I think it's silly actually to say the estimated cost is 17.
Yeah,
I would say
17.
17.5.
Yeah.
So just, because then it's clear it's an estimate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems weird if you,
A very
That's
exact
such a
estimate.
precise
And
number,
24 cents.
right, exactly.
yeah.
I can put the million back.
And I guarantee it's not going to come in at $17,466,760.
We don't know what the number is, but it won't be that one, right?
As
Yeah,
an
that's a
engineer, I
good
agree
point.
completely.
Go ahead. What was
As
that?
an engineer, I agree completely. Significant
Okay.
digits, Rick.
Okay.
There's some discussion of a little contingency for planning board final stuff that they're doing.
How about, what's the new thing that the prediction market one?
Oh, yeah.
Poly market?
Yeah, Poly Market.
Maybe
Taking
we're
the
already
over.
on call sheet. We
Yeah,
Taking the
Kalshi,
over.
That's it, we'll do a Kalshi.
All right,
Where do we think it'll end up?
17.5, last call.
Yep, going website. Boom. Sold to the man with the tie. Why are you wearing a blazer today?
Oh,
So I
And
can-
a tie.
so I can match your
4
weight.
minutes left. Let's keep going.
All right, DPW, same concept, the number to be decided. We may have more information, we may not, but right now the number's 1.4 million.
Okay.
The motion will include that. The town hall borrowing authorization, we expect this to be 1.3 million during the motion.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
t-
I gotta go back. The Article 4 and 5 are both gonna be ballot box?
And 6.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
But wait, I'm sorry, you said for the DPW, there will be a dollar amount in here?
There has to be in the
Yeah,
motion.
But it's not in here, no, but I mean, in the summary.
There's a small chance that we have actual design costs. for-
Oh, okay, I see, it's down here at the end. Okay, 1.4 million, okay. Sorry.
For 6, I don't have it in the summary. I can add the 1.3 million if you think that makes sense.
Is that the number it's going to be?
That's what the MFC is.
Probably should.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
be
you should,
consistent,
yeah.
For consistency, sure.
So these three articles, 2/3 town meeting vote and the ballot box majority? The ballot box 2/3.
Majority.
Okay, I'm gonna blow through the consent agenda. I'm assuming you want a consent agenda?
Yes.
You like the town report, or you have to do it anyway. The elected officials, you gotta pay them,
That moderator's getting like an enormous amount of money. You still on board?
The OPEB
We should change the
actuary
title.
is relatively required.
Yep.
Spending chapter 90, I'm assuming you still want to do that. All right, PEG, stopping quickly here. The demands on PEG are increasing as we look for projects, so we increased that number to 450,000.
Yep.
Typically, it's 100, and it was 250 in the first draft, but now it's 450.
Where does it come from?
This comes from your cable payments.
We don't pay it.
Well, you might,
If you have cable, you pay.
Oh, you'll pay it that way.
But it's not, it's outside of the town budget.
but it can only be used for this, so it's a good thing. So this is just saying that we can spend that, not that we are.
But this reflects, you had mentioned the potential project at the school and,
It's at least 50,000 of the police project, which means we'll decrease taxes from that project, which is good.
okay.
The school is looking at adding a studio to
Yep.
their school for programming. Fire is gonna have a community room that we'll be able to use some of this funding for. And the police station, nope, it is,
You might just want to,
Quarry Auditorium, in the Quarry Auditorium.
if you have if someone for some reason decides to hold this one, it would be good to just have a quick accounting ready to,
We'll have a whole presentation.
okay, good.
Okay, Department revolving funds, there are no requests, well, there are increases, but they have been vetted by the finance team as reasonable and the finance committee.
Yeah.
This is just so that no one's capped, like the youth commission, who continues to see increased participation in their programming. Your amendment to the Veterans and Celebrations Committee, it's just a name change, amending a Lowell Street easement vote from 2020. That is administrative. Correcting the mistake that we made with the Cemetery Perpetual Fund. And the personal property tax exemption, which you were presented by the Board of Assessors. Any holds?
Sag, no.
We talked quite a bit tonight about Article 18, which is the salary, and that's incorrect.
Article 18? Oh.
What's incorrect? Oh. I changed everything in my timeline to be consistent with that, which is, it's like, what do you call these things?
Okay, classification plan, we talked about that, and the wage plan reflects the 2.5% COLA. 19 and 20 are your safety committee articles that you talked about at the last meeting, fully vetted by council and the safety committee for the appropriate language. I'm gonna stop very briefly here, Article 21, lease of municipal property. So we did receive a bid today from Verizon Wireless, assuming that we're gonna present it to you at your next meeting, but Verizon Wireless bid $30,000 a year to lease this spot on the pole and increase communication service in town. So it's a positive development. We're gonna present it to you, including what it'll look like in the graphics at your next meeting.
And does that just go in the general fund?
Yes. Yep. Under your local receipts. Okay, and now canvassing and solicitation bylaw. So this is in there, the language. Some changes were made based off community input, and we degendered it so that it doesn't reference a male police chief.
And the big change based on community input was referencing the no solicitors list, so.
No what?
And no
No,
trespassing.
you can be
right?
on a list to say no solicitors, so if
Because
someone,
people have complained about you, or what? How do you get on that?
you just like, I don't,
Oh, I don't want anybody coming
You call
to
into the police
my-
department and say, I want to be on
and
the
the
no
police gives the
solicitor
person,
list.
you get the permit to do solicitation, but you can't go to these people.
Right,
Yeah.
and if, right, okay, right.
And apparently that exists today.
Yes, they disregarded.
Yeah.
Okay.
You saw, I sent you information about this. You can't like exempt the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts. Okay, but people have to report on them in order for this to be a problem. So as long as no one's against selling cookies, you won't see an issue.
So the Girl Scouts don't need a solicitation permit?
They do.
Technically,
they
they
do.
would, yep.
They would need it, but you can't say no to it.
You can't carve them out as a special group without carving
You
out-
you can't carve them out. They also have to go get one. Okay, I see.
And then your other question was, this does exempt for First Amendment stuff like religious, so,
So the Jehovah's Witnesses don't need a permit, but the Girl Scouts need a permit.
yes.
Because they're
Really?
selling something.
And tell me about each applicant shall pay a fee. What is, it's set by the town administrator
Yes.
every year. So is that something you would imagine bringing to the select board? Or are we talking about a tiny, what is this referencing?
So it'll be for you to decide.
It will, okay,
I decided, but I'm gonna come to you with comps and,
But
okay.
it has to be the same, no matter what you're selling, or
we could do a tiered fee. It can be anything you want.
we should shake the Girl Scouts down.
1 box of cookies.
Yeah, but.
The most profitable.
A box of cookies for the town administrator.
Daily.
I would do well in jail.
So if this passes, you would then bring a fee to the select board in short
For
order?
you to approve, yeah.
Okay. I mean, what do they run? Like, is it like $100, $50, $1,000?
I think 25 to 50 is what I've seen.
But it's
50,000,
each
wow.
applicant, so let's say the
Mm.
Girl Scouts have 12 girls in their scout club,
That's a
they
lot, yeah, that's a
would have to pay per scout?
I think they go around as a group, but I'm not advising, but I'm advising that they just roll the dice and sell their cookies and see if anyone can.
And
Okay, and like the
selling
people
it
that
at-
go to the transfer station to
Right,
sell
that doesn't
oranges
count,
and
right?
all that stuff.
That's different, that's town land.
Okay, so
And
they may
why-
not go down
Oh,
south anymore.
oh,
What'll happen?
Or
is
your
they won't-
neighborhood, you just do your
They
neighborhood.
won't, well, you could do your neighborhood without it, I mean,
As a scout leader right now, I would tell you, we wouldn't go door to door.
well, you wouldn't, right. You go to the
Like-
fire,
like
you
di-
go to the transfer station.
like, but what if a Girl Scouts do a, phone-a-thon thing, and they're calling people by phone? Is that considered the same?
No.
No. Huh, that's interesting, okay.
So you're saying the religious groups do not need to file at the police department?
Correct.
And why is that again?
First Amendment.
You have the right.
Freedom of speech.
Cookies are a form of speech.
That's not a local decision, that's a,
Okay. If freedom of speech to me means you stand out in the town common and say your spiel, but coming and knocking on my door, that's not freedom of speech anymore. That's making me, get up from whatever I'm doing.
Put your no trespassing
listen to
sign
you.
on your driveway.
Does the no
Dangerous
trespassing
dog.
thing refer to,
Dog eats
does that
Jehovah's
also
Witness.
apply, the do not call list, does that also apply to the Jehovah's Witness?
The no, do not solicitate?
Right.
yeah.
Ryan, do you know?
We do not want to legislate against the First Amendment. So we're advising you that you don't include that in your policy.
Got it, okay.
But you can if you want to.
I personally would be against any group except if it benefits town causes. So if it's
That's where you
benefiting
run
the
into trouble.
school, okay, yeah,
That's your group of things, and maybe it's different from someone else's, so.
Right, so this will be debated, there'll be plenty of debate on this guy.
okay.
I think, well, we're gonna sail through the first 21 articles or whatever and stub our toe in this one. That's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so your decision tonight is to include this or not, and to recommend it or not.
So what?
The Finance Committee recommended it because there's money.
But, I mean, has it worked? Is there a problem to solve? Has it been a problem in the past?
Can we set the fee?
We have a policy now. The police don't think it's.
We set the
sufficient.
fee.
Yeah, we don't want to put that in the bylaw, though, because then we can't change it.
Right, no, but I would be in favor of setting that fee pretty north of $25.
That'll be a future select board
Yes,
meeting.
it will.
$100
Okay.
million, $1 million.
Yes.
We just need one.
So, Mr. Chair, inclusion and recommendation.
Yeah, sure. So you want to vote on to include it? Is that what we're looking for?
Recommending that you discuss.
Well,
it.
and including it, but then are we gonna take a position
Yeah.
on it?
I
So,
certainly agree with Scott. If we're not prepared to support it, we shouldn't include it. Well,
this is, who's sponsoring this? This is from,
Police.
David.
Dave, do you have a comment on this?
Yes, I do. It's been a while since our kids were in the Girl Scouts, but we did indeed go door to door. And our oldest daughter sold something like 200 boxes of cookies, but our youngest daughter sold considerably less than that. So if the fee were very high and it were per person, that would be a real problem, I would think. I just want to let you know.
Thank you.
I agree.
So inclusions, this is requested from the chief,
Chief of Police.
chief of
But
police.
it's in response to complaints from citizens?
And their ability to do something about those complaints.
So our current, we're not filling a gap per se, we do currently have a bylaw. And this new bylaw shores up some gaps in the current bylaw. Under the current bylaw, technically, can the Girl Scouts sell cookies?
I don't know.
So we didn't.
And
I
under
don't
the
know that this
current-
changes
We didn't
that much.
we didn't compare the two bylaws?
We did.
We did, yeah.
So what changed?
The chief of police believes that this is a better bylaw.
Do we have a marked copy of the old one to the new one? I mean,
You did have one in your packet last month. I didn't include it this month, which was a mistake.
yeah, but we didn't pay attention to it last month, did we?
So I would recommend if you want to
didn't really
discuss it more,
discuss it,
we can
yeah.
have the chief come to your next meeting and you just make a recommendation at town meeting.
It would be helpful in that to have a marked copy, to see what's changed and what was not found effective. And by the way, do we have any comparables from other towns?
Yes.
And have a lot of towns adopted one like this?
They found similar problems according to the police department, yes.
And did their fix fix the problem? Did their changes fix the problem?
Yeah, the chief had sent a packet with comps and a memo about this.
I think Travis sent something
You
around.
guys remember all that? So then you know, what's the answer?
What's that?
Do you remember all
I
that?
thought, I
don't
thought
know.
that technically the Girl Scouts couldn't do it under the current
Right.
I didn't, my understanding was this wasn't much more restrictive than what we currently had. It was more of a better written, more comprehensive bylaw.
Which is a good thing, I guess. But then if we're paying attention to it, yeah, I mean, okay. So, but all this stuff that Brian said was in some prior packet, do you remember it?
There wasn't, it wasn't this draft, but the original draft.
No, but I mean about comparable towns and fixing the problem and all that, was it?
Yeah, it was Weston and,
Yeah, there was,
I
We
sent the
didn't-
West.
Was it an item?
you sent, Travis had sent around information from Weston, yeah.
why don't we have the chief come in your next meeting and,
Right, but send us prep materials. I apologize, I didn't focus on it. But I mean, you don't want to create, so in trying to fix one annoyance, you don't want to create
Right.
this other problem.
So what's the big win here?
Yeah, right. If a few people, I mean,
And what's the big law? Is there any change? If it's just the same, then, and it's.
well, I mean, there's two different things. If cleaning up language helps, then
Yeah.
that's fine. But if increased attention about solicitation catches Girl Scouts in its web, that's creating a new problem, right? I mean, the language is, I don't know about, but I'm assuming the language change is to address a gap which certain residents may feel has led them to an inconvenience, the Christina problem. Somebody I don't want coming in my house is coming in my house, and I have no.
And for example, I don't think the no solicitors list has any teeth to it.
Right, okay. So we could say, well, we want to fix that, and we want to help, but if in fixing it,
Yeah.
we create an issue where somebody else raises their hand and says, well, what about the Girl Scouts? They've all got to get $25.
And I'd like to know if,
That's-
for a group like the Girl Scouts, can we set a tiered rate that would encompass it like at 5 cents? Or
Right.
something ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you could tie it to the percentage of the value of the services.
I do know the answer to that, and it's no.
What?
The
It should
tiered
be the
group is the
discriminate?
Same
as-
for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. Let's
All
go
right,
on.
so we'll add that to the 28th agenda, and for now, we'll leave it in the warrant. Is that, and we won't take a position.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay, the next one is Article 23, which is the amendment to the town zoning bylaws, generally known as the ZBA. The bylaw, the planning board did have their hearing last night and recommended this language. So it's in the warrant, assuming you want it. It's been done correctly. It's been reviewed by council. The only thing left is recommendations. So you could either have planning board or Julie come and explain this to you at your next meeting, or you can back their process and policy.
I'd like to
Both.
have them come in and give an explanation,
Okay.
just so it's public. I don't know if there's any awareness of this, so
Okay.
I haven't been paying attention to this. I'm not sure exactly what this is, so why not have her come in and we can take a position?
Didn't she?
I
did
thought
it.
Julie
That I
explained
She
it.
did,
remember.
that's
She
right.
did.
That's
She
right.
did.
Sorry, those
Present.
graphics and everything.
Yeah.
Made sense to me at the
Yeah.
Okay.
It's correcting something that has been incorrect for
Yeah, it
since
seemed pretty
1970,
straightforward, actually.
or
Yeah.
Okay,
1980.
sorry,
I don't know that she needs to come back in.
okay.
Yeah, I'm comfortable.
So, but they were just, they
Yeah.
had a hearing last night. Did they take a position on it then?
They
So
did.
And they finalized it? Okay. All right. We'll
I'm
take a vote.
comfortable supporting.
Okay.
Do you wanna
So,
make a motion?
do you want to make a
wanna make-
motion?
I'll move.
Go ahead.
I move that the select board supports Article 23.
Three. Second.
Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous passage. So-
All right, Articles 24 and 25 are your cemetery, both your fees and the expansion, and just as an FYI, Jim Hall is creating a podcast about Article 24 called Grave Concerns.
I love Jim's sense of humor.
Oh, my gosh.
We just need a little levity there. All
Yeah.
right, for Article 26, this is all of the recommendations of the CPC about CPA spending. So I want to talk to you about totals, and you are, town council and I believe you are recommending their entire slate or not. So you can't recommend
Oh, interesting.
individual things.
Hmm.
You're
We vote on them
It's
individually.
either all
don't we?
5 projects or nothing, or none.
Right, so if, So like thinking about it logistically, if you wanted to make 3 motions because you know there isn't support for 2, then you could split that up. So it's doable in any way, but really you're saying, do you support their slate?
Got it.
Oh, I see.
So,
And the slate is the appropriations for FY '27, which I highly recommend you agree with. The CCHS, $465,460 for the amenities building.
And the one correction there would be on the term of the grant. And they, because they, Brian Watterson, who's, representing us on the regional school committee, he's suggesting that we make it 12/31/29 so that it matches what Concord is doing for their CPA funds for this.
December 31st.
29. So it's a 2.5-year grant instead of 2-year.
And this gets pulled if if Concord doesn't approve it first?
Yep.
They already haven't they already had their town meeting?
They have.
They approved it.
They approved
Yeah.
it?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Took a page out of our playbook and did it out of
give her
CPC.
pulse, finger on the pulse.
I'm embarrassed, I'm sorry.
Spending too much time in Lincoln.
I didn't realize that.
Okay, so that's amenities. For the library project, we will have a good number at the end of this month, and the article is written no more than $500,000, so up to $500,000 per their request.
Yep.
Any change in the term here, Barney?
Yeah, the term would be
Right now it says
6/30/29. Yeah, that's what you have. Yep, 6/30/29.
Okay, the next recommendation is for the preserving the town's vital records through the town clerk's office, $14,000.
And, yep, and this one, the town clerk said a 1-year term is fine, so it would be 2027, June 30, 2027.
You guys are gonna miss Barney when she's not doing CPA anymore.
Yeah.
But-
Why are we hemming ourselves in like that?
Well, because the way Ashley and Melissa are doing it, what's needed is a bunch of supplies in order to preserve these documents. So Ashley's plan is to buy them all this summer.
Okay.
And then as they're going through their regular daily work,
Okay.
they're gonna start,
Yeah.
doing piece by
Just
piece.
gonna spend the money up front.
Yeah, so it'll be spent
Okay,
well before the year is up.
all right, got it.
The next one is the Cranberry Bog House design funding. Do you want to keep it as a sum of money, Barney, or do you want dollars in there?
Yeah, they thought they would have one by the end of this week. But what we had said before was 200,000 was the figure that we've been using, but,
If you don't have a CPC vote, then it should stay ambiguous.
yeah, we have not voted on this one. We're waiting
Are you
to,
going to have a vote before town meeting?
yes, yeah.
We will communicate whatever number it is heavily leading up to town meeting.
Okay.
The term is correct, June 30th, 2028. 2 years.
Cranberry Bog design, June 30. Yes.
You do design before
6/30,
Article
28.
97 stuff is,
This is Article 97 is part of it.
June 30, 28, yep.
Okay, and the last one is the 2-year, $100,000 investment in rental assistance from the CHT. So the question I have is, are you ready to recommend the slate, or would you like to make them at town meeting?
Just one quick question, Ryan. Is the specifics there of the requirements and is that something that you and Jeff have reviewed going forward for the next 2 years? Because I know I had written to Jeff and I didn't get a reply last week about whether there was any, because I know there was discussion about some discrepancies and maybe changing the maximum, so I wouldn't want to lock him in for the next 2 years if there was some thinking about changing it, or maybe the language needs to be softened in some way, I don't know. Anyway,
Okay, so it's the CPC's recommendation, so Jeff and I couldn't change it without you would directing us to. But I can tell you it can change in the motion at town meeting.
okay, yeah, this is what we approved, what we recommended.
So if you're gonna change, we should either have another meeting in CPC where you would change it, and then we change it in the motion book, or you can do it all the way up to town meeting day.
Yeah, we do have another meeting. I guess mainly it's getting the information from you and Jeff about whether it's desirable to have this be different, any of these numbers. Because otherwise, then this is committing the COHS to follow these set of requirements for the next 2 years.
All right, I'll make sure we get
Yeah.
that for your next meeting.
Okay.
But leave it as is
Yeah.
for now.
So given the changes, I think might be appropriate for you to recommend at town meeting, the slate.
So does that mean all these individual recommends will go away and there'll be one at the bottom of it? Okay,
That's what my draft has now.
okay.
And is one, the transfer of the 75K appropriations, is that part of the slate? That's like a housekeeping thing, right?
No, it's part of
Yeah.
it's part of what was recommended by CPC, so
And that's just to make sure there's enough money in these other buckets, or what?
well, that's meeting the requirement of the CPA statute, which you have to put a minimum of 10%
I see,
into
I
the
see.
other buckets. And so the strategy is to leave
10% of,
the total funds that we
Collected.
have available to us between the town surcharge and the state's match.
okay, so,
Statutorily, you have to do it that way.
right, but 300,000, no,
It's about 500,000.
not even, are you kidding? 3 times 75 is 200, it's like 250.
It's now.
Let me go to my handy Kelly.
And I was just looking at the audit report this morning, and there's like $4 million in the CPA.
Yep.
Barney, I'm online if you want me to
Oh,
give you a
great.
hand here.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Kelly. Love it.
So the 75,000 represents 10% of what the estimated revenues are for the next year. David, it's
Okay.
not based on the balance.
I
That's,
see, okay, all right.
you know, the whole pool of funding that's available for projects. It's based
Yeah.
on an annual revenue stream.
Okay, so
Is
Kelly,
the
you're saying,
requirement.
if we think we're gonna raise 750,000, 10% of that, each 10% has to go to each of these little funds. And then
Correct. Yep.
th-
A
then
minimum of
some little bit
10%.
for administrative is not
Right,
tied to that.
35,000. Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so do we want to just hold off until it's all finalized, or do we want
Fine, then
to, has CPA recommended all these since our last meeting?
We
or-
have not voted on the Bog House
Okay.
because we're waiting for a number. And we have
So we
not-
should wait till.
So let's just wait.
Okay, that's
just
fine.
wait.
I'm fine with that, all right.
All right,
All right, that's the warrant.
Good.
so what do you need from us? We need to final approval?
Sign the one piece of paper in the,
Do we need to vote or anything? Or
oh yeah,
just-
vote, you should vote to approve it. and then sign. Thank you.
Do you
Someone
want
want
me
to make a motion? Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah. Did we get one at the beginning of the warrant?
This one?
No.
Yes.
I move that the select board approve
Our Lord.
the annual, let's see, what are we calling this? The,
Just in case.
approve the warrant for the annual town meeting on May 18th, 2026, as
Amended.
amended during the select board meeting this evening.
Second.
Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion's approved. I'm going to send around 3 copies for everyone to sign. I messed that one up. And then we're going to move on. We can move on from this one, Ryan, or we do everything we need to do? Do you want to sign first? All right, so we're moving on to item 5, discuss, revise, and finalize charter, opening with the Land Stewart Committee revised charter. Is there someone online
Hi.
to speak
Hi,
to?
Scott. It's Navneet.
Oh, hey.
Good.
How you doing?
Hi. Good. How are you?
So, I'm going to admit I'm a little confused, just in terms of what's being asked of the select board tonight.
So am I.
Okay. So, in our packet, we have draft 3, a markup of draft 3 of the revised charter. Now, my understanding is, on the 26th, you approved a revised charter.
That's correct.
Okay. So we don't have the final
It's actually up on the website, the Land Stewardship Committee site.
Okay. But in terms of our packet, we all have the markup I think you were looking at on the 26th.
That's correct.
And then my understanding was that the LSC was a subcommittee and that CONSCOM approves
Has
the charter.
jurisdiction over that, yeah.
And per policy, they need to notify the select board, which gives us the, the opportunity to comment or, provide feedback. Gretchen and Ashley suggested that it would be advisable for the select board to also approve the charter, because it's a little unclear, I guess, the definition of subcommittee. Is that, and I'm not sure where the lack of clarity is. So I'm not sure what we have a copy of the revised charter. I know some members had comments, but can you just give us your view on the status, since I know you've been playing a leadership role in this, of where things are at in terms of CONSCOM and the revised LSC charter, and what, if anything, you're hoping from us tonight?
So, because it's, this new charter kind of changes the outlines of the LSC to be more of like that advisory role and not making decisions independently. I think that it changes the conversation and sort of the need for the select board to approve this charter, but I'm happy for you guys to vote on it and approve it and, add your comments if there are any. But sort of the overview is that the LSC will sort of morph back into an advisory role that has some structure and some outlines in terms of how they operate, how many members there are, as you can see in the published version on the website. It's, it runs through a little bit more of an organized approach to how the LSC is going to function, including their purpose and guidelines. And at every step of the way throughout this charter, there's a highlight of engaging with the stakeholders of the town for these parcels so that all voices are heard. I think that's sort of the theme of this charter. But again, I'm not really sure what the select board needs to do today. I'm happy to present more detail, help you guys, review any comments you guys have. But yeah, I'm kind of looking to you guys for direction. I don't know how this all came about this way, but happy to work with you guys.
Well, and I know we had originally just put a placeholder at this particular meeting, knowing that you were working on the charter, and you also had a hearing of sorts and took public feedback, correct?
Yep, that's right.
And in terms of the revised charter, is there unanimous agreement from CONSCOM on this?
Yep, there's unanimous agreement, and not every member was at that meeting. We were missing, I think, one person, but there was unanimous agreement for those who were in attendance. And prior to the vote on March 26th, the meeting prior, I don't remember the date off the top of my head, which was a hearing where we had a lot of public input. I mean, we went until 11-something p.m.
Wow.
Reviewing everybody's thoughts and comments and sort of wordsmithed the entire document so that it was representative of all people's voices while keeping the overarching theme, which is that of an advisory committee, but with certain priorities that I don't think were very well outlined previously.
And with regard to any select board feedback, is that something we can provide and that you can review at your next meeting, or?
Yeah, I think that like this is a living document, right? So that's one thing that I think previously wasn't completely embraced, that this is a charter and a charter can be revised at any point. So if there are sort of meaningful and approved edits or comments that need to be incorporated in this, I think we could bring it back to the CONSCOM for consideration for sure.
So should we send those comments directly to you, or what's going to be the best
I think
mechanism?
Probably
to
Megan.
Megan, I think Megan
Megan?
has
Oh,
been
no. Okay.
compiling commentary, but like, yeah, but, you know, Megan and myself, I think that'd be a good.
But do we want to do it as the comments of the select board or just individual members of the select board?
That's a great question.
I mean, I guess, so my thinking on this is the Conscom has done a lot of work on this. And this is, I think, at the highest level, reflects what we've been asking them to do and improves what we think have been some of the problems. It's unclear exactly if the select board needs to approve the charter, if we should approve the charter, but regardless, I think we should have a discussion tonight, if people have had a chance to review it, to raise any, what I would consider like very substantive comments. Maybe not, you know, I know there's some questions around wording here and there and clarification, but we should address any substantive issues we have, and as a select board, maybe take a position on those to communicate back to Conscom. And then any individual, we'll call them wordsmith or clarification comments, we send directly to Megan, because I don't think we have time to go through all that tonight. If there aren't any, what I would consider deal breakers, I would endorse the select board, well, I don't know what the word is, because I'm not sure.
Supporting this charter?
Supporting the revised charter so that the process can continue. Ultimately, we do need to, I'm not sure, how many members of the LSC are there currently?
Currently, there are 3.
So you don't, so there's no quorum.
No, but
Can't
I
meet.
think the reason to move this along quickly was to be able to advertise the open position. So the way this charter outlines it, there should be 7 regular voting members, so we'll be advertising for 4
Right.
spots.
They want to lower the quorum. So, remind me, the old LSC was kind of disbanded? Or
It
it's-
wasn't
They-
disbanded, there were several members that resigned.
Okay, so they're down
Yeah.
to this nub. And then the Conscom, its parent organization,
Yep.
took it on itself to make this charter
Yes.
with advice and consent from the remaining LSC members, or?
I'm sure-
No, so how this unfolded was to present a draft to be able to have a starting point to work from. I put together a draft. I circulated it to the Conscom with a procedural documentation as well, sort of when Conscom would review the first draft, circulating it to stakeholders, what that date would be, and when we would, review feedback, and when the next draft, like I outlined it in a pretty detailed way that we also, that process letter and sort of outline was also voted by the Conscom. And then that was distributed to everybody, including AgCom, CCF, LSC. I mean, it was, put out on the website and for public comment as well. And subsequent to that, the LSC members resigned, the ones that did,
So,
leaving the 3.
this work product reflects the comments of all the AgCom and
Yes.
public and
Yep.
former LSC members, maybe, or?
Yes, I think the former LSC members, aside from Brian Murphy, did not participate in this, but the remaining, there was 1 or 2 remaining LSC members who were in attendance of these meetings to offer their commentary as well.
This was driven by Conscom, though.
Yes.
So they're
Yes.
technically, I'm confused that there are even any members. Are they gonna completely reconstitute the committee and then invite whichever former members to apply like anybody else, or?
Well, there's,
I think, yeah, go ahead.
well, my understanding is there's currently 3 members.
So it's still a committee, it's still a subcommittee, without it, with the,
Right.
I think it's still a committee.
Quorum, so they.
right.
It's a committee.
So I think the best way to look at this is you are the appointing authority for the Conscom. The Conscom is saying they need another committee to help them do their
Yeah,
work.
I know that.
You're still the appointing authority for the LSC.
Right.
So whether you think you need to approve their charter or not, which I do think you do, then
But we never approved the previous charter.
You should be comfortable with,
We did it right.
you should be comfortable with it because
Yeah.
you're the
Right.
appointing authority.
Right.
But
Yeah.
So the last time this happened, and the reason why it matters, is when the public came to complain to you about what was going on, the only recourse you had was to appoint or not. So you being comfortable with the
Yeah.
charter up front is very helpful.
But remaining members, apparently they still have a term. There's been no formal, like, you're no longer a committee, we're making a brand new committee. They're still the
That's
committee.
correct, yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
never
just
formally
revise their
did that.
charter. The three who have terms who decided to stay, stay. And then to her point, we can advertise and build up.
And we would want Conscom to interview and recommend appointees.
Right.
So there's a step
All right.
before we can appoint.
So what do we need to do tonight?
So I guess so the question is if we can go through from a select board standpoint, if you have any wordsmithing or clarification questions that are, wording related, can go directly to Megan. Any substantive questions or comments we should discuss tonight, and then potentially take a position if there's nothing that's,
Yeah, okay.
we don't think can be corrected.
All right.
I had two, I guess, what I would think of as substantive. Now, I had only had a chance to review the draft 3. I was just looking online. I'm sorry I didn't
Yeah.
get that ahead of time. But one comment, let me go.
And Navneet, just for our benefit, the draft that's posted on the website incorporates the recommended edits from draft 3, correct?
That's correct. So from draft 3, there was that sort of marathon meeting, which everybody was able to add their comments, and then the result is what's on the website right now. I'm not sure exactly what, I can look and see,
Okay.
but I'm not sure exactly what's in your packet in front of you, but
We
what's
had the
on
markup.
website-
We have the markup version, so it's a version
And
behind.
there was editing subsequent to that in real time in the meeting.
Okay.
So going off the one that's on the website, I guess my two comments, and maybe you can just kind of help educate me a little bit. I really appreciated that the Trails Committee is included in this. I thought that was, again, more outreach and really valuable. Under the section that is called Responsibilities and Core Tasks, there is a bullet in there that says, engage in informal collaboration with the Trails Committee when trail relocations or new trails are proposed. And I actually am part of a group that uses the trails for mountain biking activities, and there have been, I think the Trails Committee worked really well to try and, when there was some disruption of the trails, and they tried to mitigate that through a ride that's done annually. And, it was a process, and I thought it was really a good public process to try and have different groups trying to work together to solve these usage issues. And so I was just curious about the Trails Committee. I would suggest maybe it also includes not only the trail relocations or new trails, but trail usage, because there are questions that residents have about which trails are going to be allowed for mountain biking or for this and that. And I just think the Trails Committee should be included in that process. So usage would be it. And I don't know, does the Trails Committee currently determine usage, or does the land stewardship on the trails? Or maybe you don't know the answer.
So let me just make sure I'm thinking about this correctly. So I think the usage is going to be presented to the Land Stewardship Committee, but approval, basically everything, including that, there's going to be final review from Conscom. In terms of relocation, that's its own separate thing, and I think that's where Conscom has to take more of a ownership role, because ultimately altering parcels in any way, like how it's being used, that's going to have to come to Conscom for approval. But yes, Trails Committee should be, that was the intent, that they'll be engaged in those conversations with LSC for, usage.
Okay, well, it didn't
I don't
say
think-
usage in there, and I just think it's good to have more. I mean, that's one of the main reasons we're in this whole situation now, is because of usage, and so we should include that. My second comment was really on the licensing process. So when I go to the last section, final review, decision-making, and approval of land use licenses shall rest solely with the conscom, essentially, which I understand, and I personally think that's great, because that is what we're looking for, is if politically the Land Stewardship Committee, is moving in a direction that you don't think is, fits with the rest of town needs, or, the overall larger constituencies, you can, override that or look at it again. But I think that's in conflict with the other section that's in responsibilities and core tasks that says land use permitting. It says the Land Stewardship Committee shall serve as the issuing authority for land use permits related to town-owned conservation lands. But that's where I think it's in conflict, because at the bottom it says, no, actually Conscom issues the permits. And I just want to just make, maybe I don't understand it, but.
Yeah, permits versus license, I think that there's a difference there.
Okay.
Ryan can correct me if I'm wrong, but a permit is different than a license. So I'm not issuing a permit to a farmer, I'm issuing a license to a farmer. Whereas permit would be like the Boy Scouts wanting to, do a camping activity at Foss Farm. That's different. That is a finite usage approval versus a license, which has a term and more sort of detailed review. So that's why there is that difference. That the LSC should be able, it doesn't need, a Boy Scouts coming to ask for permission to use Foss Farm for their activity doesn't need to come to the Conscom. LSC can handle that. But a license, a 3-year term license with a farmer, that needs final approval from the Conservation Commission. That's, I think, sort of broadly how we defined the differences.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, is this the one that's on the website now?
This is the one that's on the website.
Yeah, so,
And sorry, Barney,
Yeah.
sorry, I just want to go back to that question about voting and appointing, that we do have that in membership structure. We say voting members and associate members shall be interviewed by the LSC, nominated by the Conservation Commission, and appointed by the Select Board in accordance with established town volunteer recruitment policies. So we have that sort of system in place that ultimately Select Board will be appointing them. Sorry, just wanted to go back to that.
I'm looking at the, under the purpose and guiding principles. So, yeah, this language is significantly different than what was in the draft. Okay. So, I'm just wondering, Navneet, I got some feedback from some folks on the Agricultural Commission that they weren't, Ag Commission. Anyway, that they were a little concerned about feeling that there wasn't any actual mention of, food production or farming for food production. And I recall that the LSC, got a ruling from town council that agricultural could be defined as, growing native plants, when that was kind of an issue. So I'm just wondering, do you feel that you got input from the Ag Commission and that input is reflected in the?
Yes, heavily, like a lot of input from them. Their multiple members from the AgCom were at the meeting, providing their comments, their concerns. And I think the thing that was hardest in drafting this and editing it was to not let this document become a tug of war among these different stakeholders, because that sets it up for the same issues to arise again. And Melissa Webster, who's also on this call today, she said it very poignantly, that the point is that we need to find ways to 1 and 1 equals 3, right? So that we can balance all of these competing interests, potentially competing interests. But if we turn this document into, it's got to have this word, it's got to have that, my voice isn't heard here, it ends up setting up for that same playing field of argument. And I sort of see this charter as sort of a job description for anybody interested in joining the LSC, that it is about balancing, listening to all sides, all stakeholders, discussing it heavily, researching the information, coming to a consensus, and then presenting that to the conscom. Sort of thematically, that's how I see it. And so, and I think there were people from the AgCom who did mention that concern, that it's not, that agriculture, that definition of agricultural usage has been, in their opinion, morphed away from what they actually do as farmers.
Yeah.
But I worked into the language that in, for example, in the responsibilities and core tasks, that in collaboration with the Agricultural Commission, with both bodies sharing responsibility for ongoing communication, that it doesn't, I don't have to have every word to define everybody's detailed interest points, bullet points in here. It should be about working together and listening and coordinating. And if that's not happening, that's a problem, and that's against and in contradiction to this charter.
Yeah.
So that's how, because it was getting to be a little bit of a tug of war in opening this up for editing,
Yeah.
like a lot of competing voices as to what words should be in there and not be in there. And we were setting ourselves up for the same showdowns.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you've done a good job. I hadn't seen this change under the responsibilities and core tasks, so
I have
think
one other
that's great.
quick question, Navneet. This is, I
Yeah.
do generally, I think this is a great work of art, No, it had a lot of input. Under meetings and administrative activity, it says when practicable, meetings shall be scheduled to alternate with the CCC and select board meetings to promote coordination and communication. I just wasn't sure what was intended there.
Yeah, so this actually was in discussion with Barney. It's when we have liaisons from other committees who are going to be joining the LSC, it sometimes pose some difficulty for example, for Barney to make it to LSC meetings.
Because they always held them on the same night as the select board.
Same night, exactly.
I see,
But
I see.
again, it's
Okay,
not a
that
hard and
makes
fast
sense.
rule, but
Yep.
when it's possible, to try to not put them at the same time.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep.
Put them at the same time.
Yes, I think so.
All right, so from a process standpoint, we haven't really had a chance to review the final charter. I'm generally, without reading the details of the new one, supportive of the new charter, and
I am
typically
too.
would take a vote, but I do think we should have the opportunity to review it.
Sure.
Navneet, from your standpoint, is there anything, if we provide feedback and then take a formal vote at our next meeting after having a chance to review the final charter, does that put you guys in a bind at all from a process standpoint?
It will delay being able to advertise, I think, well, actually, I'm not sure, Brian, because the reason for holding back on advertising for the LSC was more, we didn't know if we were going to finalize the number of 7 members, voting members. But since if that's not debated, can we go ahead and advertise while we're waiting for the select board to review the charter?
Better if you had the charter.
What's that?
Be better if they had the charter, they could point
Yeah,
to
I
it for
agree.
recruiting.
I also.
So what are
it-
I didn't quite follow all this, but are the changes, the debate you had, does it need editing then in your mind? Travis, you're the closest to it probably, right? Or Barney?
Well, I just had 2 comments about
Yeah, I know.
the trails. I don't know. I think usage is really important. That's one of the, that was
So
one of the
you're
things
saying
that
yes,
got us.
it
got
needs,
us
it
into
needs
this
some
issue
editing.
to
It
begin
needs
with.
editing.
I-
It needs
Well,
another
or-
round as
well.
well.
Or, I'm comfortable with this revised charter, but I would agree with you about adding usage if others were comfortable.
But then they still have to vote.
They still have to
we
vote.
can't-
I don't know.
Technically, no, I don't think so. if it's our charter to approve, then we have the final approval.
We
But I
can
hate
add the
to-
word
I know.
usage.
I'm sorry I'm so late
Yeah.
in the conversation, but this was the first time we had seen this.
Well, we haven't,
as
and
a
we
select
didn't,
board.
It sounds to me like
We didn't get
it
the
needs a
final
cycle.
thing.
They should take a crack at your, seems to me, since they took the lead on drafting, they should finish the draft with the comments. Come
let me,
back to us next time and.
let me break protocol and say, I'm fine approving this as a draft for the purpose of recruiting.
Okay,
I don't see this substantively completely changing for
No.
the purpose of.
but we don't need to vote
recruiting.
it, that's just
No.
accept it's a
So I
draft.
think it's fine if they advertise and they use this charter as pending final select board approval.
Yeah,
Because ultimately, we're gonna have to appoint people to this thing anyway. and we-
okay.
Oh,
If there's a
right.
real
So
issue, we
let's
don't.
do that, right, so let's do that.
So, Navneet, why don't we do it that way? You can advertise it. If you could just note on this, the currently posted draft, just have it noted that this is pending final select board approval.
Sure.
The one comment and recommendation we have is under the Trails Committee, or under the Trails line, to add the word usage, as Travis pointed out. And then we'll independently review the final version that's posted. And then if we have individual comments, we'll send them to Megan.
That sounds great.
Okay? But let's keep the process moving, and then we can put some time on our next agenda to review and approve the final one. And I think that gives you guys another meeting to,
So, but are we, on the question of quorum, it sounds like the suggestion is to reduce it, to give them more flexibility. Are we okay with that?
yeah,
Need
it's
to
seven.
seven.
It's a seven.
Yeah, it's a
Seven.
seven,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're on board with that, okay.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want more than that.
no.
Okay.
5 was also proposed, right? Did I misread that?
It was 5, 7, and 11. These were
What
the
do you
numbers
guys-
that were thrown
What
around.
does Conscom recommend?
7,
Seven.
7.
We'll go with that.
And that's what's in the
Okay.
version
I'm
that's
good, I'm
posted.
good.
Right.
So we'll circulate that. You'll have a chance to review any comments, hopefully approve a final version that we'll approve on the 28th. But in the interim, you can recruit volunteers.
But this,
Okay.
and this March 26th agenda is, why is that stuck in there?
That, I don't know.
Okay, all right. That has nothing to do with this then? or it-
That's when that draft was reviewed,
Okay, all
but
right.
they updated it since. So
Okay, all right, fine.
We're dealing with an old version.
Okay, got it.
But I think the new version's even better, so look forward to that. All right, great.
I gotta ask you guys, I gotta break for a second, so I'm kind of at the end of my energy level here. So Mary Lynn wants to take a picture of all of us, select board, I'd like to do that, and
Sure.
I'll pick it up remotely.
Yeah.
for the rest of-
Take a picture, and while you're coming up to take the picture, I just want to thank Navneet
Yeah. yeah,
and
so we'll work.
Conscom for taking
Yeah.
on.
Great
this.
job on that,
This is an
Navneet.
enormous task, and you've done a
Yeah.
terrific job, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
How do you want us
Guess-
to post it?
Yeah.
Or you
No,
want
not
to
really.
Standing, or should we
We don't
stand
need to
in
be at
front?
our,
To the
at the
town seal,
table.
we want the town seal, right?
Yeah, well, shall we stand up?
Push the chairs out of the way. We're gonna now break on the agenda, but I'll allow it.
Can we do it? This is the 7-day stretch.
He wore the suit, but we'll get him out of the picture.
Thorn between two roses here.
Look at that big smile on David's face.
This is a short timer.
Just out, David.
Excellent.
All right, thank you.
Now let's do an angry one.
All right. All right.
Let's do one that shows how we really feel about the select board.
Be so better, David.
All right,
Yeah, just-
and the next one, I think we're now in the downhill portion of the agenda, so
Downhill.
the second request is to change the name of the committee from the Department of Public Works Renovation Building Committee to DPW Building Committee, and we need a vote for that.
So moved.
Second.
We'll do a voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Now we're on to credit card policy, so thank you for,
We're,
Oh, wow, you,
we stayed all this time just to.
Yeah.
well, he showed up.
When I said it was gonna be 9:45, so it's okay. I hadn't read the agenda. Just going off of an email.
Hello, chief.
No.
So, Ryan, do you want to just
Yes.
give us a quick debrief on this one?
Generally, the finance team is against the proliferation of credit cards because they come with lots of problems with the way municipal finance works, and as you know from your careers, they can cause difficulty generally. So the fire chief did approach us seeking a credit card, and a lot of people do. you had approved a policy that only allowed the town administrator and the superintendent, one from each realm, if you will, to have a credit card. We found the chief's argument compelling enough to bring it to the finance committee, and they agreed that the chief would be a good add to this policy. So in front of you is a policy that includes the fire chief as having a credit card. I will also tell you that Sandy and, with some help from Kelly, changed our current credit card. We were using Bank of America, and we went to Visa Community with Unity in uppercase, if that matters to you. This doesn't use the social security number of me, which is great. It uses the town's EIN, and
The town's on the hook.
under the policy, or under the new card, which doesn't have fees and has to be paid in full each month, both Kelly and Sandy can help manage the cards. So the finance team, the finance committee, and myself are recommending that the chief be added, and the chief can give you why he wants to be added, so you can either approve or not.
So we have historically done reimbursements, and so we used to do every 2 weeks, we'd do a warrant that was, say, pay the vendors directly, and we do a warrant for reimbursement. And we just did that every 2 weeks. We have a lot of things that we have to do through credit cards. So all of our certifications, most of those require it. Anything through the state requires it, which is interesting, but they require that. We also do a lot of saving of money by using, so we have equipment that's typically much older than most places. A lot of places, when they have equipment like ours, buy a bunch of parts for it. They need one part, so they buy 3 in case they need it, and then 10 years later, they look on their shelf and they say, we have all these old parts that are very expensive for us to go buy from a dealer, but we can go on eBay and get, or wherever, and get them much cheaper. We can also go to fixmyambulance.com, it's a real thing, you know, go out there, et cetera. These places are out there. If we look around, we can often pay 20% of what we'd otherwise pay. And that's the kind of thing it's the kind of culture I think is good for us to maintain. So what has happened is using our own credit cards and getting reimbursed has become more and more difficult. And as that happens, either people eat it or you actually lose control rather than gain control as people find other ways to get reimbursed. So at this point, everybody has to do a expense report, even though it's a reimbursement, not an expense, but it's an expense report, and they have to have a copy of the credit card statement, et cetera, et cetera. And to do this with 50 people out there is hard. This is an attempt to try to make this better and make it so that everything is done completely, the right things are in the right categories, nobody's fudging things to make up for the fact that something's hard and doing it in an easier way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they would now come to you with those requests?
Right, which isn't the...
You would not give your card to them?
No.
Correct.
But
Okay.
they would bring their computer in, so that, most of that is for the certifications.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have an account, and yes, they'd be in, bring their laptop into the station, we'd use my credit card and do it.
Mm-hmm.
For purchasing things, that is more, they send me a URL, say, we want this. I mean, they used to do it themselves, but instead they would send it to me and say, I want this thing, and I would use it to do that for actual physical things. And things like, you know, our ambulance licenses, our controlled substance licenses, all those kinds of things we just would do.
So you're checking every month, you'll go through it and, you know, analyze it, right? Or-
Well, so I would then have to do, just like we used to do, a warrant for my credit card statement, where I say, here's all the receipts for all these things, and categorize everything that goes through. Absolutely. So it would be kind of done almost the same way we do our warrants now.
But it wouldn't be a warrant because it's already paid, right? It would just be like an expense.
So that's the problem with credit cards, is once it's spent, it's spent. But in terms of reconciliation, the chief does it, and then Kelly does it, and then I do it.
There's a third-party
and the
oversight.
select board does
But
it.
it's an expense reporting. I spent this on this, right?
Right, so Kelly's the next level, she'll review the chief's stuff, is that what you're saying?
And then I review it, and then the select board member reviews it.
And this is a standard town expense report, I presume, form. or standard form?
Well,
Yeah,
it,
the
it
policy
in the
has
end
it.
becomes much more like like the warrant, in that you have,
By category or?
by category, but you also have all of the receipts for everything that you
Oh,
have.
Sure, of course you'd have that, right.
Well, but you don't need the credit card statement because it is the credit card statement, right? It's going against this one credit card that you already
Well,
have.
the credit card statement has to be, two different things, right? Whether you do it through the warrant or you report your expenses, you have to say, I spent this on this and it goes in this category. Separately, you do need to reconcile your credit card statement. That's like a normal practice to make sure that, so there are two different things that can be combined, but.
I don't need the credit card statement from 50 of my employees included in the
No.
document.
You are the single credit card holder, right? You get a statement at the
Correct.
end of the month, or does it come to the town?
Question. It
I
should-
mean, really, the way it should work, in my opinion, is that, and the way we would do it, like at my company, is you would have a credit card, it's a Carlisle town credit card, like you have one.
Mhm.
And you submit, I spent it on this, and here's all my receipts and all that jazz, and that goes to Kelly, and she recs that. And then separately, the statement comes to finance, like your bank statement comes to finance, and you reconcile that. Like, hey, are these charges on what, Brian spent, and what's this charge to you, Brian, did you spend this? Or didn't, right? I mean, that's like a normal practice, right? Is that what happens with
Yes,
you?
and David, that is
ahead,
correct.
Kelly.
That's how we manage it currently, is that
Okay.
I'm able to access the digital statements
Yep.
through Bank of America, how
Yep.
it's set up now. And that practice would still continue under the
Right,
new
okay.
card
So that-
setup. We have the umbrella of Town of Carlisle as the account holder.
Right.
And there would be individual cards, and all of those flow into essentially one master statement.
Right.
So each card holder and whoever uses their card would have to submit the receipts to me for processing.
And you're good with this, Kelly, right?
Yes,
You
yep.
support, okay.
Okay.
That's all I need.
For me.
Aside from your testimony.
Sounds good to me.
Good. And what's in the packet, the only change to the policy is just the inclusion of fire
Yeah.
chief?
Yes.
Motion is. Want me to
So
make-
everything else in the purchase policy is the same, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll work with chief for sign out procedures and how to fill out each reimbursement.
Okay.
It has its own difficulty, but it's easier.
All right, should I make the motion?
Please.
I move to amend the town credit cards financial policy to include the fire chief as presented in the packet this evening.
Second.
Second.
Oh, Kristen.
Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you for waiting us out. You'll learn a lot. All right, we're moving on to item 7, TA report.
All right, good evening. Here's my report for April 14th, today. The next TA coffee hour will be May 5th at 10 a.m. here in the Parlin Room. We're hoping soon, maybe this summer, to host our first one at the police station when that renovation is done. Now we're meeting in the town hall. We expect topics to include the operating budget, the fire station renovation, design and DPW, and many things that you discussed and approved tonight. In terms of a human resources report, we did talk tonight about potentially having a shared service agreement for the plumbing and gas inspector, but Jim, our previous inspector, has agreed to serve until May 1st. We also are talking with other communities about potentially sharing a building commissioner, or if we have to, hiring a building commissioner, but Rich is staying on until we complete that, as long as we don't completely burn him out. And we are still trying to hire a DPW labor position and are always looking for COHS van drivers. We will be receiving all of our proposals for our house doctor contracts, and we'll be starting our designer selection committee process in the coming weeks, probably before town meeting starts. A quick update on Audubon Lane. So we renegotiated with our civil engineering firm and got some of the costs reduced to a level that we believe you are comfortable with based on the last discussion. I just want a final check. So the design costs are now fixed at $15,000, and we still have a construction estimate of $35,000 for a total of $50,000. And we will include this in the Chapter 90 bidding, so we're hoping.
Well, we're only authorizing the first 15.
And it'll be bid in the Chapter 90 bundle that we can bring to you to report on it. But it would be 15 in design, and we think 35 for construction.
If the design supports that 35 will fix the problem.
Correct.
Yeah. The design comes first. You don't commit to the fix until
Right. Well, the design says it's gonna fix it.
Because there was the option
I know.
Premier. Okay. Keep going.
I'm agreeing, we're seeing general
If
agreement.
there's a pause, just keep going.
For budget updates,
You in a rush?
the budget's now complete. In the next
Wait
week,
long enough, someone's gonna say something.
in the next week, we will publish a budget book that you've become familiar with, which will give people a high insight into the budget process. So that can be found on the town administrator's website under budget information. And also, anything about town meeting can be found under the town meeting tab in departments. Upcoming town meeting has every warrant article and all the documentation that supports the various requests. We did receive our first Climate Leader Technical Grant of $119,000.
It's a big number.
This was
well done.
the ESC and led by Eric Ballas and Sarah Wasserman's work.
Job, Eric.
A lot of work
Well
went
done,
into it.
Eric.
So the MFC is right now overseeing the design of an upgraded HVAC system at Town Hall, and this $119,000 will fund the first part of that design. Give us the technical specs we need to inform the warrant article that you talked about tonight, which is the Town Hall rehabilitation. We have access to $1.15 million in Climate Leader grant funding and are hoping to use that $1 million for the grant in Robbins building that has been discussed many times during the budget process. I'm glad the chief's still here. He can be celebrated for getting us a $15,500 firefighter safety grant
Well
for
done.
equipment.
Thank you for the MBTA is saying otherwise explicitly, we would not have been able to.
It said in it that because we are a compliant community, we don't have to worry about grant funding. So that's also true of the Climate Leader grant.
That's interesting. Yeah, they are.
In your packet, you have Sarah's quarterly CCA report. We provide this to you because you have to make decisions every couple of years on this CCA. So the last 2 years, we're coming up to the end of the contract. The new one will start. You've already passed it. The reporting indicates that we lost a little money in this agreement. I encourage you to look at the report. So it was very productive in the first 2 years. This year, it was similar to rates, but money was lost for people who were on that rate. So we're hoping that
Do we have to actively, that was a question, we have to actively go in and opt in, or we automatically, as individual,
with the new contract, if you're already in, then you stay in.
you stay in?
You can actively opt out if you want.
Right.
Right.
All right, we have a mutual aid agreement currently with Nemlik. They occasionally ask us to update that agreement. We looked at it, the chief and I, there's no substantive changes at all. They're just looking to have a proactive upgrading of the agreement. So we're asking you to support that tonight, if you're willing to.
You need a
Do you
motion.
want us to do the motion now, or wait?
Is this
It's, what
I got
is
it
it,
right
page 68? You already have it? Okay.
the second one?
I move to endorse the interagency mutual aid assistance agreement with the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council as an NEMLEC. Look at these bugs, huh? And authorize the town administrator to review with town council and execute the contract.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All right, as you know, the House is currently considering their version of the governor's budget, and then the Senate will follow in May. So there's a couple advocacy requests we'd like to just bring to you. First, Sandy informed us and had informal discussions in my groups about the MCTA's opposition to eliminating the excise or vehicle marking system. So this is when you don't pay your excise tax, you're marked and you can't register your car, or there's some enforcement mechanism in order for you to pay your excise tax. So there is a good faith effort to try and help those who would be greatly hurt by this. Maybe they wouldn't be able to get to a job or some other things, and there's definitely reasons to consider this. However, for a small town, relaxing or eliminating this enforcement could massively affect your revenue. So your second biggest revenue source is motor vehicle
You
excise.
think people wouldn't do it if they didn't have a mark? They wouldn't pay their tax to us?
So one of the biggest rushes of excise tax payments we get is when people need to, or have been marked.
Really? so they don't.
Or they forget. It's-
I'm not sure it's,
Don't actually pay their tax, wow.
it's intentional, or it's definitely less in Carlisle, but communities have seen up to a 30% reduction in collections, which for us would be about $300,000.
So you oppose the change?
Yes.
We do. It's being considered, and I think in talking to legislators in good faith, they believe this is gonna help, but they need to hear from small towns that it would not help Carlisle. There are ways to do this, and they just need to think it through.
Encourage people.
This wouldn't be a good way, in our opinion. Also, the small town administrators, which you know I'm involved heavily with, are introducing their priorities to the legislature that include reforming or increasing Chapter 70, which is funding that we rely heavily on here, increasing unrestricted government aid, or UGA, which helps us as well.
Ugga.
Also, local infrastructure, so Chapter 90, the multi-year authorization, and the $300 million bond bill, and that municipal building authority, which Carlisle would benefit greatly from if it were to pass. And finally, the Municipal Empowerment Act has several provisions that we would benefit from, especially given our small staff and the ability or inability to attract staff. It would free up some burdens that the state puts on us. So talking points for you, and those talking points are in the packet.
So are we
So
supposed to?
how are
yeah,
we
what
gonna, how do you want us to support
Is there
the
like a letter we can sign?
initiatives?
So that's something to consider at your next meeting. In our conversation with the legislatures, they also said when they hear from you directly, it's very impactful
Okay.
from their communities. So they often don't know how you feel, not necessarily Carlisle, but how people feel about these things until they hear from people, so reaching out does make a difference.
So we should do a letter, but, I mean, as a board, but also,
Do you want
Reaching.
authorization? Like, we can just as a board authorize you to write a letter if you want.
Sure.
But are you saying, is that more impact if we write as the select board or individual citizens just calling them reps?
If I was you, given the tax pressures that are coming, I would do both.
yeah, I think that makes sense.
So to Barrett and to Simon, or where are we playing this?
That's where I would send it, yep. They know generally, but they're under constant debate right now during the budget process.
Yeah.
Is there like a
So-
draft or something? Like, is there like does someone have a example? I mean, it would be helpful just to have a template, and then we can customize it and get it out. There's gotta be.
Sure, we could find one.
But we also are saying we want to send one as a board,
Yeah.
coming from the board.
So we can
So-
review that at the next meeting,
Yeah.
and then people can take a version of that and send it individually.
Is that, will that be timely? Given their,
Should be
working
okay.
on the
The House
budget?
might approve this month, but we'll see.
okay.
Or if you wanna just
Whatever you wanna do.
authorize me to send a letter, I can
I
Yeah,
send
would do
it.
I'm
that.
comfortable
Okay.
authorizing the chair
Yeah.
to send in a letter on our
Yeah,
behalf.
but then we also are supposed to call.
And then we
in.
could do it individually.
Call or write letters? What should we?
All of the
do?
above, David.
Yeah, all of the above.
So I'm
So-
clear on the tagging, the excise tax. But then the second thing is like, it seems like a whole big bundle of things. Is that all in one package?
You'll see in the packet, there's a one-pager that summarizes all of it for you.
That's not part of the TA report, it's somewhere else in here?
It should be in there. If it isn't, then I will send it.
Well, there's bullet items in your TA report, but.
But do we need to take a vote to authorize Scott to sign a letter on our behalf, or we're
No.
just good saying it?
I think we just say
Right?
it.
You can just say it.
Okay, good.
All right, it's in there somewhere. I'll get to it. If not, I'll send it to you.
All right.
Okay, capital project updates. The elevator is starting to move, the elevator project. We've been approving
Going up,
colors.
Going up.
Getting off the
Yeah.
ground floor.
Colors and schemes, and you're aware of the timeline. It'll start once the school year ends and then move through the town. I strongly encourage the board to check in on the Cranberry Bog Dam repair. So at the April 29th meeting, there was a discussion about hiring a dam engineer, and the costs are a lot. You know, the estimate we saw are in the hundreds of thousands, not the tens of thousands. So the commission is inviting Stamsky and McNary to attend their next meeting to talk about what could potentially be done. But the design that existed is not being supported by some engineering firms, and we really want to get a hold of it and bring in an engineer. But it's up to the CONSCOM, and they are working through it. So they are also looking to approve some of the emergency maintenance repairs that they can do. But again, the GPR identified a bunch of issues, and the dam's not in good condition, so the situation is deteriorating quickly, and we need to act. And it might come at you faster than you think, which is why I'm continuing to update you on it.
What is our role in this?
You will eventually be asked to support funding, I believe.
Funding from where? I mean, FinCom has a reserve fund. Other than that, we don't have funding.
Well, maybe at a future town meeting, or
Well,
it's
yeah.
gonna be a big capital project.
But if it's coming fast, there's not much we can do until potentially a fall town meeting.
Right.
So it may come fast, but it's it's going to sit there
Yeah,
for a while.
Resolved fast.
I don't know if there's a hidden pot of money somewhere for dam repair, but
Okay, the hydrology studies, there is additional data that needs to be gathered, and we now have a completion date of August or September, and this will inform the eventual design if we can agree on a plan and a designer.
It's taken a long time.
The bog house you're familiar with, the feasibility study, and the work that needs to be done after the town meeting vote. In terms of the library renovation, moving to building construction projects, we received the filed sub-bids and the analysis, and remain optimistic that the final bids will be in alignment with what you expect. Final bids are due this Thursday, so we'll know for sure, and the analysis of the library closed project puts our funding right where it should be. So we're hoping for positive news on Thursday, so the library renovation can move for real and inform the town meeting vote that should finalize it. You are all tracking the fire station renovation pretty heavily. The project's out to bid. We're supposed to receive the final bids on April 23rd, so your next meeting should have a pretty good chunk of the fire station coming at you. And then your DPW, now building committee, the RFQ for their solicitation of designers is due Thursday, so we'll be working, Travis and I will be working to schedule a meeting there to start the designer selection process. It doesn't really need to be done before town meeting, but we obviously want to get going right after town meeting, so we'll start that process. Some upcoming discussions include those pesky personnel policies, the finalized items for the town meeting, the fall town meeting logistics, if it's to occur. The Highland Building is coming, and so is a meeting with the Historical Commission. We did approve a Rotary sign for the Gleason Public Library's poetry contest, and the library is also looking for approval to use the town common for its annual Pride Festival. We do not have the ability to approve the use of town land, so that is another motion for you to consider. That would be on June 12th. They're asking for approval for town common land for their Pride Festival.
I move to approve the request. The request is from the Friends of the Gleason Library? No. Who's it from?
It's from the library.
It is from the library, okay. I move to approve the request from the Gleason Library for the use of town land for the Carlisle Pride Festival on June 12th, 2026.
I'll second that.
just to clarify, there's a request from the library for the poetry contest, and the Pride Festival request is from the library as well?
Yeah, the poetry contest is approved, just
Okay.
letting you know.
I just want to make sure we got the right sponsor. Okay. All right, is there any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, want to talk about one of my employees, and then I have an update about Ferns for you. And then I'll be done my report. So I want to highlight Stephen, our facilities director. So our technician, Steve Monroe, identified a leak in the town hall water system, and Stephen worked quickly to evaluate solutions. Rather than simply do a one-for-one replacement, which would have been a lot easier, he assessed the room for different sizing options that resulted in a plan that was presented to MFC to downsize the system, which allowed more space in the closet, which allowed us to not have to expand the town hall mechanical room potentially. And just a lot of good things came from that analysis. So I'm highlighting this effort because Stephen's pretty consistent with this approach in facilities management. He secures the immediate problem and he evaluates the long-term and short-term solutions. And while he can be frustrated sometimes about the municipal finance and our ability to fund things, he does come up with a plan and a method that provides us with the information we need to make good decisions. So I'd like to thank Stephen and his team for their outstanding work and their continued dedication to ensuring we have good solutions for these very difficult problems. All right, and I said I have an update on Ferns. So I talked with I sent this information to the potential owners of Ferns. They are looking for ways to properly install their septic system, and one thing they asked is if town land would be an option. And the town land that's closest to it is Center Park, specifically the parking lot, not the beautiful flower and grass area. So in order to do that, town meeting would have to approve a lease of the land, which means it would need a town meeting vote. However, before that, they would like to do a perk test to see if it's even viable. So if it's not viable, it wouldn't come to you. If it is viable, then we would start this search and go down this route. I talked to council about the perk testing, and he said we should sign a license agreement, which is a simple document, and make sure that they have the right insurance binders, and then we could authorize that perk test and then bring you more information.
So, I'm sorry, we had signed a license agreement with Center Park? Or
With the
No,
potential
Ferns
owners of
owners.
Ferns.
Oh, because we don't sign it. The license agreement lets them do the perk test?
Yeah.
To touch our land, to evaluate it, and then,
So the prior Ferns had this it's like a glorified outhouse, basically, right? And that's deemed not desirable by the current owners?
my understanding is, in their discussions with the permitting boards, that it would not be enough
Not be enough.
for their
the things
plan.
they want to do.
Oh, okay, not enough, but you could put a second, but they don't want that kind of, those are ones that somebody carts out, I guess,
The
or does it?
Clivus, yeah.
Or does it self, I forget. but
Compost, yeah.
It sort of just decomposes, is that what that?
Yeah,
that-
compost. Good
Right, but I mean, are they objecting aesthetically or capacity-wise, or both?
I mean, I was reacting to what they said they wanted to do, so I didn't ask them that.
All right. But I mean, if the perk test doesn't produce the right results, or if there's deemed not enough footprint there to do it,
We're gonna have to find another option.
right, so, but I mean, for the last umpteen years, there was an option that seemed to work, right? Okay.
So assuming there's no objection to that, that's the route I'm gonna take in order to get you the information you need for this. Okay.
Sounds good.
Can you have a septic under a parking lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. And other than just highlighting what's coming, so fire station, Highland Building, Historical Commission, at your next meeting, that is my full report.
And final town meeting.
And town meeting stuff, yeah.
Two items, or a couple items. One, we're gonna be discussing Highland at the next meeting on April 28th. Next week is vacation week. Is it possible to arrange for those that can attend some kind of tour of Highland on Monday or Tuesday of that week? I don't know who would give the tour, but it would be helpful to visit Highland.
It does require hazmat suits.
Or whatever we can safely, even walking the perimeter, if it's not safe to go in. So, I'd be interested in looking at that option, because we are gonna be discussing it on Tuesday of the 28th. Even just seeing where, again, looking at it, seeing where it sits in
Mhm.
regard to the school and all of that, I think is important.
I'd love to go on a tour too, but I'm away next
Yeah,
week.
not next week, it would have to be the 27th or 28th. Yeah, I'm away next week.
Oh,
as
it'd
well.
have to be that Monday, you mean, or Tuesday morning?
Monday or Tuesday before the
Yeah.
meeting, yeah.
We will try.
Who would do that?
Stephen.
Okay. So that might be an optional tour, if folks can make it. We'll see if we can find a time in the morning to just take a look at it. I don't see a meeting scheduled on the list for May 26th, which is the meeting after town meeting and before town election. I guess, do we have thoughts on, do we plan on having a meeting that date?
Yes.
Barney and David, do you plan on attending that meeting?
Of course,
Of
if we
course.
have one.
Okay, so that would be the final meeting for Barney and David. Okay.
Swan
It's
song.
not been in this list, so I didn't know if there was a reason it wasn't on there.
They're making it a
Do you
surprise.
feel like you need one? I mean.
I don't know. I mean, we'll take a look at that.
We can
It's
always.
a lame
fill the
duck
con-
session.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've kind of been.
Maybe an
saying-
executive session
It's not
to
a very
review
fun meeting.
executive session
Maybe.
Oh,
minutes.
yeah, all executive minutes, that's right.
A real
Oh,
barn
do the
burner for you.
executive minutes.
The other thing is, I know Gretchen, at probably one of our May meetings, we want to review the code of conduct.
Yeah.
Gretchen mentioned, David, that you might.
I
want to-
talked to her, said whatever the team
Okay,
decided that.
we're gonna hold you to that then.
Yeah, I'm fine with whatever you guys decided. I don't have the time to
Okay.
do it.
Terrific. All right, thank you. Anything else?
We have to do the cemetery
Cemetery
deeds.
deeds.
And we have, so there's 2 minutes in the packet. Do we want to
Oh, right.
review and approve?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I read it.
Okay, do you want to make a motion on the minutes? We have,
I have the cemetery ones in front of me, not the minutes. Does
Okay.
anyone have the?
It's from March 10th and March 24th.
March 10th and March 24th, 2,256.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 10th, 2026, and March 24, 2026.
I'll second.
Second.
Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and we are on to cemetery deeds. Item 9.
Keep rolling, Travis.
All right, I move to transfer land in the public burial ground at the Green Cemetery as described. Deed 869 to Allison Carey and Robert Koenig Jr., Pheasant Hill Lane, for Lot C92, Grave 1. Deed 870 to Sean W. Martinez, Bedford Road, for Lot D406, Graves 1 through 8. Deed 871 to Quang Zhang and Hao Li of Carriage Way, for Lot D167, Graves 1 through 4. Deed 872 to Feng Lu and Yuan Tang of Cutters Ridge Road, for Lot D166, Graves 1 through 4. Deed 873 to Jihang Su and Patricia Niu of Westford Street, for Lot D195, Graves 1, 2, 4, and 5. And Deed 874 to Rebecca Conkle and Michael
Ramnarine.
Ramnarine of Autumn Lane, for Lot C16, Graves 2, 3, and 4. Second, anyone?
Second.
Any further discussion or deliberation? Seeing none, we'll do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ooh, they know that fee increase is coming.
There's
Everyone
a lot.
does, I know.
All right, any, on the final one, any, liaison reports?
I could go briefly. So the superintendent search committee has met several times. Brian's running a really tight ship.
Good.
It's very time consuming. We had like 30-something resumes.
Oh, wow.
We
Very
down
good.
selected to 5 that we interviewed, and the final 3. So that's all in executive session, so because it's private and they're running the final, I guess, conflict traps or whatever, but the 3 finalists will be named publicly. I'm not sure before vacation or not. It might be before vacation, but certainly after school vacation. And then there'll be more of an open meeting where they meet people in the community and teachers and everything else. The 3 we interviewed, I'd say all were highly qualified and would be great interim superintendents, so that seems to be working pretty well. This morning, I was part of the, it's not really called the audit committee, I don't know what we're called, but we review the annual, the accountant's report, and they'll come in. When are they coming, Ryan? Sort of, they're gonna come in at the end of the process?
They're gonna come in May 26th.
May
first
26th.
meeting.
So that's why we have a meeting, okay. Anyway, we got a clean bill of health. Kelly and Sandy did a great job. There's no findings.
Great.
We look healthy. Our balances are moving in the right direction. Our OPEB is under control, or, not that we have any really leverage here, but the teachers' retirement and the county retirement seem to be good, and we're just chugging along, so it was a good report.
Good.
Thank you. Any other liaison reports?
I have one for the Town Trust Fund Working Group. We're very close to finishing up things. It should have been done quite some time ago, but we were not able to settle on 2 items, which was how to allocate the scholarship funds, and we were waiting for a process on how the allocations would be for the financial assistance. So the school committee got back to us and said they were recommending that we take it up with some other groups. And they recommended some. And then the financial assistance, that process is being written by our employee Jeff Katowski. If you guys don't know, his wife was due today to give birth, so his mind is elsewhere. So we've not had a formal process from the COAHS yet, and that's kind of what we're hanging on there, is just that last bit. So,
Okay.
more to come on that. But we're closing in on the finish.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other liaison reports? Seeing none, we'll move to community input in the room. No. Online? Anybody have community input? Usual suspects? Very good. All right, with that, we can take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.